What is up, folks? Welcome, everybody. Greetings and happy Monday. What is up, Goatee underscore? What is up, Father Axe Keeper? What is up, lurkers in chat, VOD viewers, and everybody else? I don't know about you guys, but I've spent the last 48 hours pretty excited about the prospect of continuing 007 racing. Memories of, invincible forklifts, just a vague, distant suggestion. Even the dreaded fixed camera stealth mission in full green vision mode that we wrapped up last time with wasn't actually bad. I'm impressed with 007 Racing's ability to imply impending doom and then turning out to be not so bad. It's pretty all right. It's been a lot more interesting than you thought it would be. Yeah, I mean, I didn't know what to expect other than, like, surely it's not going to be racing. That's like the one thing I felt confident in predicting, that it's not going to be racing. Like, I'm not basing that on, like, having read too much about it, but it's like, yeah, it's going to be like car-based missions, which is basically what it is. But yeah, like, we've been over this, right? But like an actual racing game could be really fun and funny if that's what they did. Just making it a very video gamey, goofy kind of thing. But a car gadgets driven action game is an entirely appropriate vector from which to approach, like, how to adapt Bond. There have been and will be games with vehicular sections, but for natural reasons, a game that primarily plays in a different way will have a limited scope, a limited room for, elaborate car mechanics and everything. So it's cool to see that angle get sort of explored a little bit more fully, even though, again, like, it gets a little it's the other end of the other extreme of that spectrum, because the game, like, it has the same but opposite problem, you could say. Because this game is entirely focused on the car stuff, there's no on foot sections, there's no walking around, there's in fact no real element of characters interacting that we get to see. There's, like, Zukovsky walking up to your car and getting a, and sitting down in it while playing a voice line or something. But we don't see characters ever interacting with each other. There's voiceover, there's briefings, there's, radio calls. But the element of dialogue, the element of characters, the element of storytelling even feels very divorced from the actual game as it's happening. And it's understandable, if a little unfortunate. I mean, we'll see, I suppose. Obviously, there's still plenty of games to come that I've never played, and in many cases have essentially never seen. So for all I know, there might be plenty of games coming up that are first-person shooters or third-person action games that also have elaborate driving missions that aren't just kind of drive from point A to point B. But I wouldn't expect too much. Like, I mean, the levels in 007 Racing aren't overly elaborate, but they do showcase a fun kind of creativity in bending and twisting that core set of mechanics in a lot of different directions, which I think is the game's greatest strength, probably. It looks great. The visuals are quite impressive, and, like, it feels fine to play. But I think the thing that's brought me the most joy is kind of getting to a new mission and trying to predict, or just, like, getting to see what that mission's going to be like. I guess the kind of objective-based mission structure was not necessarily something I'd expected. I mean, I suppose my closest point of reference would have been Gotham City Racer, the Batman racing game that isn't a racing game. And these games have several things in common, but they're also very different in several ways. the most obvious difference in terms of like how it feels to play and like how it's structured and how the missions are laid out is that Gotham City Racer actually takes place, there's like essentially one map. Like you have the Gotham City map, and every mission takes place in some section of that map. You rarely, if ever, have access to the entire map, but you learn to start recognizing different areas, and you can see that it's kind of the same like bit of geometry or geography, I should say, or some of it, parts of it that are being kind of reused. And it's good and bad in my opinion, because it feels a little iffy that it's like A, that stuff gets kind of reused, B, that stuff is like very arbitrarily just sectioned off. But obviously it makes sense that that game all takes place within one city, right? It's in the name, it's Gotham City Racer. And that's what you would expect for a Batman game. You know, not to say you couldn't have a car-based Batman game that has different venues, but you know, it makes sense. And you wouldn't want a Bond game all taking place in one city. That doesn't fit the property. What's up, Itinerant Soldier? Greetings. But it means more, you know, specifically that the designs of the missions in Gotham City Racer is all kind of built around a pre-existing structure and layout of that city, and they kind of use certain parts, and if there's anything to do with a specific landmark or a specific kind of key location of the city, it exists in a particular spot. Whereas in 007 Racing, each map can be much more kind of bespoke and designed for that mission's kind of parameters and the design of it. But I will say that the overall, like, it's not a critique, it's not a problem, certainly, but the mission maps are like generally very small and contained in 007. We have, you know, some that are more linear race-like, that you kind of follow this path, and others that are just kind of set in like one room, basically. I like the chase level, where we drove on the cliff sides through the jungles with Zukovsky in the passenger seat, and it was because that had like sort of extensive, actual full-on like driving, and not like, it wasn't about agility and you know, essentially, you know, walking around this little mission room doing stuff. It was closer to a race. And that one where you had to drive through the jungles, the first jungle mission, I guess, where you have to drive across those bridges before the helicopters come and destroy them and stuff. Like, it was fun to have those more straightforward, closer to something you could call a race levels. But the slower ones, like the fortress mission when we're in the jungle and had to like destroy stuff, and like that one was pretty cool too. Like they're all decent, and it's very nice to have a variety of them. And you don't really get that in the Batman game, because it's very much like driving to a checkpoint and getting to it in time, and then getting to the next checkpoint. And I vaguely recall strict timers being a pretty common thing. In any case, it's not like you would expect or you would ask that these two games are similar, but they are kind of interesting in that they are both in their respective kind of groupings of games an odd sort of outlier in that, like, both Batman and Bond, their cars and the driving is like a pretty prominent aspect of the character and the sort of property, and it has been reflected in bits and pieces in other games, but there's only like kind of the one game that's really dedicated to it, and they're both implied in their title to be racing games, and they are both not racing games. So I think it's pretty funny. But yeah, I think especially the way certain people had been kind of building it up, I was expecting 007 Racing to be absolutely infuriating, and the second or third mission definitely was. But it's been pretty smooth sailing ever since, and that's not to say that every mission in the second half of the game couldn't be that level of infuriating. We'll find out. But there's been a lot of interesting observations to make, and it's been broadly pretty fun, I think. So I made a sort of estimate based on what we could, conclusions we could perhaps draw from the progression of the game so far, the missions we've beaten, and the apparent pattern to the mission structure, as well as a world map graphic that appears in the menu screens, to speculate that we are in what I think we finished the second of 5 like areas or sets of missions, I guess. So we have some time to go still, and my best estimation is that we'll probably, assuming that we can keep a rough equivalent pace in progression, that we'll probably clear a couple of more missions tonight, and hopefully we should be able to finish the game on Wednesday. But we'll see. There could be massive difficulty spikes. It could be super easy and we just finish it tonight, or whatever, who knows. But I hope to make a solid chunk of progress, and I hope we get to see some more fun, cool stuff. And I'm bracing myself for absolutely endless, incessant John Cleese whining. It's like the perhaps most defining aspect of the game so far. Well, without further ado, why don't we hop on over to the Bond scene and get started. Just for the sake of, I don't know, tradition. We're gonna bring up this screen to get some quick recap summary of what the game is and what's going on. Got some Q branch cars, and I mean, looking at that bullet list of features, Q branch vehicles, yes, that's a thing. Exciting missions and beautiful women. I mean, the beautiful women are kind of, I was gonna say mostly implied. They do appear, but not so much in the game, more so in that weird cheats menu. But hey, it's an aspect they very, overtly put in the game. So that's credit where credit's due. Ingenious gadgets. I mean, it's mostly been weapons, hasn't it? We fire our M guns. We fire, what are they called? They're the Stinger missiles, but there's the Hellfire rockets, like the Desert Strike weapons, I guess. And we had the EMP, which is just a laser, and then we had an actual laser. Did we actually have anything? Well, I guess we had an oil slick and the smoke and whatever, which is basically this traditional classic set of Bond car gadgets, so that's fair enough. We didn't like tumble our license plate or anything, but I guess I should be thankful that we haven't had a bunch of awkward, weird, like platforming or some shit like that. Technically, we did remote control our car with the belt buckle for one mission, so I mean, I guess that's not an erroneous claim. Dangerous assailants. I mean, who can forget James Bond's arch nemesis, 2 forklifts? I shudder to think that we shall ever face a more dangerous assailant than 2 forklifts in the entire second half of James Bond, but we'll see. We'll see. 2-player action. That is, of course, something we will not be really checking out too closely, but I'll trust the game that it exists. There's like a battle mode and a hot potato sort of mode, I think. And I guess it would have to be on different maps. Maybe some of the mission maps actually could work in 2-player mode, but I would assume that it's something that's something that's specifically designed for the 2-player mode. But we're going to be focusing on the single-player campaign, of course. FMV scenes of beautiful women. Yeah, well, FMV scene singular. I guess we didn't successfully achieve any other cheat, so we don't know if clearing the cheat on mission 1 is what triggered that one cutscene, or if it was part of the story. It's a little mysterious for sure. Forklifts that thankfully get glitched together and trapped pretty easily. I don't know if there was anything easy about it, but it tended to happen. There was a slight bit of reprieve in that the game fucked up and allowed us to sort of kind of progress. But you know what? I don't know that I even want to talk about those damn forklifts. Let's boot up the game and pick up where we left off, shall we? Rid of this and oh yeah, I'll have it muted. Sorry about that. I muted it at the end of the last stream. There we go. Oh, PS1 boot up jingle today. But we'll make do. Oh yeah, we get to watch the unhinged intro again. Get ready. Yeah, this game's soundtrack is something else. Advanced game science.
Now pay attention, 007. I want you to take great care of this equipment. And you might be...
Bond. James Bond.
Two scenes were definitely... like, those two shots were definitely in the same scene. The bass fucking clipping, you can barely make out that it's some kind of unhinged remix of the James Bond theme.
Will you need collision coverage?
Yes.
Fire?
Probably.
The Lotus is supposedly in the game. I wonder if there will be some underwater section. I don't think there's... well, I was gonna say, I don't think there's a tank, but I based that on the fact that we see a list of licensed cars and brands. But I guess if there was a tank level in the game, they probably wouldn't license an actual tank. They could get away with not doing that, at least. I don't think we get the car skis from The Living Daylights either. But we'll see. We'll see. Yeah, highly period appropriate British game music. Yeah, the music, there's like some good music, but it's a lot of it's pretty weird, and there's also this incredibly annoying thing where anytime there's like radio voiceover, which is pretty frequent in some missions, the music just like cuts out, which gets a little annoying. Like, that's more annoying than like anything about the music in itself, even though it's a little unhinged and doesn't necessarily contribute to yeah, you know, Bond-esque atmosphere. All right, we got our game loaded. Resume the timer. Super quick recap. Oh boy. Quick as I'd hoped, the scrolling here, but yeah. First mission, the prologue, Eastern Europe. We have to rescue this daughter of a scientist or a diplomat or some shit. Drive across the border from Eastern Europe to somewhere else, I guess. It's not really specified. there was we got some kind of actual opening and briefing in between these two missions. So there was some nefarious actor had hijacked a secret freighter ship that had like MI6 Q branch car technology and shit on board, as well as a bunch of advanced weaponry. I don't know. Apparently, whoever performed the hijacking and theft now have the capability of essentially arming themselves or whoever they see fit with ICBMs, or just, I don't know, turning someone into a military power basically, and also a Bond car. Like, it was, the ship was like a transatlantic thing, and it was hijacked off the coast of Greenland and taken somewhere, and we went to New York to meet with Jack Wade of CIA to get information, I guess. We ended up getting Simon Grubert and had to get a bunch of bombs without stopping our car in New York City. That was a pretty cool level. What's up, Franken? Well, it's a game called 007 Racing. It's not actually a racing game, but you'll see soon enough. Yeah, this is when we had to fight the invincible forklifts. And I guess John Cleese is there because this is the mission where he yells at us for an hour and a half straight. I mean, he kind of does that every level. This is just the one that took an hour and a half to beat. Oh yeah, and then we caught up with Whisper, one of the henchmen or whatever from Live and Let Die, and we had to destroy the transporter truck. And he didn't really know shit, but something Mexico. So we went to Mexico. We survived the jungle. We went to a weapon storage facility where we found Robbie Coltrane. We rescued him. Making our escape, we were chased by an assassin lady in a sports car who we tricked into driving into a pit while we safely descended using a parachute. At the bottom of said pit, it's explained in text form that we were captured. No, sorry. We we were blindsided and drove head on into a construction vehicle and passed out. And when we came to, we had been kidnapped by the villains. Including, it turns out, Jaws and the lady we rescued in Mission 1. They had kidnapped not just James Bond, but also this Dr. Chase. So this breakout mission takes place entirely... so James Bond uses his belt buckle to radio, like remote control a car, and to see what he's doing, he's looking out through, like he's like peering out through the cracks in between the boards that are boarding up his window, and he manages to see a security monitor that happens to overlook the garage where the car is parked. So he remote controls the car to drop like 12 mines to destroy some shit, and then get the car lifted out of there by electromagnet. Pretty good stuff. So I started this mission. I just wanted kind of to see what it was like, and then we accidentally cleared it first try, basically. So here we are. Scenic Louisiana, hopefully. The first Louisiana mission was a warehouse as seen from a night vision security camera. So hopefully this is a little more exciting looking. What's up, Sword Fam? River Race. So it says race in the title. We'll see. We'll see how much racing we do here. Collect 4 missiles, locate missile launcher, reach final bridge, and disable boat. Yeah, so all the story is like told in text form, which is a little weird, but We get some context that helps us understand what the heck's going on in the actual missions, at least. Explosions and smoke engulf the warehouse as you break through the hangar doors. Succeeded in destroying the warehouse and rescuing Dr. Melody Chase. However, Jaws and Cherise Light have also escaped the burning wreckage and leap into a sleek powerboat moored on the riverbank behind the warehouse. You immediately give chase on the winding road running parallel to the Bayou waterways. Alright, so yeah, I was wondering if we would have like boat racing or something other than these cars, but no such luck. So I guess we will be driving in whatever car we were using in the night vision security cam previously. The BMW's computer alerts you to an incoming message from M at MI6. 007, the cars you impounded in New York have been traced back to a European automobile manufacturer whose primary shareholder is Dr. Hammond Light, the same man who brought his influence to bear to have MI6 rescue his kidnapped daughter, Cherise. Seems he was using his daughter to divert MI6 while he orchestrated the attack on the NATO shipment. Ah, it runs in the family. Dude, there's so many pages here. Dr. Light recently retired from his post as chairman of the World Health Organization and is now a European Union trade diplomat who over the past year has tripled the distribution of his firm's automobiles throughout the European Union, Asia, and North America by successfully lobbying for improved global trade policies. It is clear there is a connection between the Light family, their automobile company, and the hijacking and smuggling of high-tech weapons. But there is possibly something more. Take every precaution to apprehend Cherise Light alive, as she will be a valuable source of information to us. Light, whatever her name was. Yeah, so we were talking last time about like the idea of Q branch Bond cars being stolen and how it seems like a missed opportunity to not have had that as a story element of like Bond having to do some kind of car showdown against a villain in an equally equipped car. But I feel like that's like very clearly what this is building up to, and I'm all for it. Like it's gonna be pretty cool. But it's not only did the villains manage to steal a Bond car, but they are also a car themed villain to begin with, I guess. I mean, I don't think this guy is going to be like the main bad guy or whatever, but there's a connection. So we didn't see anything. We were told in text form in the briefing to the previous mission that when Bond was being held captive, Jaws, like turned on a TV screen with the main villain speaking to Bond, but in like shadowy silhouette form. So we don't know, like there's some secret reveal of who the main villain is coming up eventually. Up Netscape Navigator, hopefully not more stonks plots. I mean, yeah, like it sounds like they're they're kind of dealing with that stuff, like this guy with the cars. And I mean, it's just, I don't know, standard capitalism, I guess. Nothing too outrageous. And we don't know if that aspect is much connected to the theft of high-tech weapons, but we shall see. Jaws doesn't look too thrilled to be there, but we got the Bayou River road thing going on here.
Thermal scan accepted. Hello, 007. I've been waiting for you to turn me on. Structural scans of the water vessel conclude a frontal attack is required to neutralize it. The GPS system has identified a suitable location for the attack. You must get there ahead of the boat.
All right, so it sounds like an actual race. We have to race to get there first. That was the kind of the implication of that assassin level. We never failed it by, finishing second or anything. It's not entirely clear, but it is being presented as though it is an actual race. So that's interesting. Yeah, I like these little stage intros. Do I remember how the controls work? I don't know. Let's find out.
Jaws, launch the Mauser. Destroy Bond.
Oh, this is the way we're going. Wait, right. Okay. Are these the things we're collecting? I don't know.
Target lost. Mission failed.
Okay,
Incoming
it's
transmission.
pretty strict. But I'm gonna do this because it restarts instantly. If I wait for the full transition, we're gonna go back to the menu and have to sit through a load screen. Handbrake turn's a little iffy. Replacing car. Yeah.
Stay alert, 007. The car was never intended to sustain direct grenade impacts.
All right, here we go. We got our first John Cleese whining.
Watch out, James!
Yeah, you get minus score for hitting civilians. Audio mixing continues to be a little bit questionable, but pretty cool mission. Minus 13 points.
Warning 007. Radio scanner has picked up activity on the local police band. Patching it through now.
All right, boys. We've got ourselves a situation. A boat, some crazy...
All right, looks like we are getting certain Sheriff Pepper showing up. I figured we would. Why else would you set missions in Louisiana anyway? They have John Cleese because he's well, at least at the time, always willing and able to collect a paycheck. But he's the only actor from the films.
Thermal scan accepted. Hello, 007.
But they've got pretty good sound-alikes for the main characters.
Destroy Bond!
And then obviously you have a bunch of like original characters.
Watch out, James!
You always also have people lining up to berate you anytime you fuck up even slightly. Doesn't seem like we have to hurry all that much.
Warning. Exterior damage detected.
Alright. Yeah, the AI drivers here are a little questionable. Do I go this way? I guess so. Collecting a lot of... Oh, wait. I was gonna say a lot of... Nitro. Okay, we're out of Nitro. I've been pressing R1 every now and again. Alright, rip that guy, I guess, but that's fine. It's not on me. I haven't seen the boat. Alright, there's a red dot behind us in the map, so I think we're doing fine. That was probably... I'm guessing those look like little keys or something. Okay. Am I supposed to go here? Probably not.
Target lost.
No, there's a jump.
Mission failed. Incoming transmission. Return to MI6 immediately.
Okay. Okay, yeah, you can. I wasn't sure if you could restart at the end of that, but all right.
Hello,
Yeah, the actual route that you're supposed to take is not super obvious because there certainly appears, you know, the visual fidelity is what it is.
Stay alert, 007. The car
And,
was never intended to sustain direct grenade
No, okay, so that's probably, I probably came back here, turned myself around because that was a jump that you do after that little thing that I hadn't even noticed before. Alright, okay. The TSP, yeah, the little green key looking things are the missiles, I guess. We have to like fill up our ammo supply.
Vehicle damage sustained.
Then we have to find...
Warning 007.
Oh, okay.
Radio scanner has picked up activity on the local police
So we
band.
have enough.
Patching it through now.
All right, boys. We've got ourselves a situation. Tango on the dump!
Alright,
Any more,
okay.
Sheriff Pepper? We're on our way.
Or listen to the dialogue. Okay, she's catching up here. Okay, let's keep going straight here, I guess. It took like a left. Whoa! Ahead. I don't know if I was supposed to.
A few more hits like that and you're scuppered, 007.
Ouch. Yeah, so I think I took a left there that I probably shouldn't have. Ah, okay.
Danger. Heavy damage sustained.
There's, like,
Exterior breach
massive-
imminent.
Flash damage on all explosions. Health was quite welcome. Is that an item up there?
Objective attained.
Okay, reach.
Danger.
No.
Heavy damage sustained. Health packet required immediately.
Is this the final bridge? Hold. Wait.
Target lost. Mission failed.
I guess that wasn't the
Incoming
final
transmission.
bridge.
Return to MI6 immediately.
What's up, Mr. Radon? Nitro looks like a giant Hungarian energy drink. It's like a pretty good concept, isn't it? Like nitrous oxide tank shaped energy drink bottle. Like in Japan, at least when I was there like 18 years ago, like typical like aluminum cans were pretty uncommon, but instead they would have basically an aluminum bottle with like a screw cap. So you could do something like that that's like designed like surely that exists. Yeah, I know that NOS brand energy drinks exist, but they don't look like that, do they? I don't. Saying that, I don't know that I've ever seen one. They don't exist here. But when I think of that, I just think of like energy drink branding. I'm not sure. Inferior NOS and no Kong. Yeah, I mean, can't go wrong with Kong Strong.
Thermal scan.
Well, we've reached the point
Destroy Bond.
of wait, is that the actual bridge that I came back? I think the bridge where the mission starts is actually where we collect the missile launcher after we've fucked around. Because you definitely double back. So maybe, I don't know. I don't know what the fuck they mean by final bridge. But that's what I was gonna say. Like, we're at that classic point in an objective-driven Bond game where the main challenge is figuring out what the heck,
Warning 007. Radio scanner has picked up activity on the local police
what they
area.
actually mean.
Patching it through now.
Okay, let's do this.
Thermal.
With the objectives, like
Launch the Marsmans. Destroy
a
Bond.
lot of them are sort of, the description of the objective only makes sense. I don't know what's going on there. Once you've seen how it all like fits together, like after completing it, you understand in hindsight what they meant. The World's Not Enough had a lot of that. This is going great.
Thermal
Just
scan
great.
accepted. Hello, 007. I've been waiting for you to turn
NOS
me
drinks
on.
in the US are the same cans
Structural
as
scans of
Monster.
the
Yeah,
water
that's kind of what I was
vessel conclude a
picturing.
frontal attack is required to neutralize it. The GPS system
Do
has
you have screw cap
identified a
bottles
suitable
with an oddly
location
shaped
for the
cap?
attack.
I mean, it's a good
Destroy Bond.
good branding concept. Yeah, so everything kind of looks a bit samey in this level, so a little tricky to kind of get your bearings. But yeah, I was expecting it to be sort of linear, but that doesn't really seem to be the case. kind of come back here. I don't know. It's confusing. And then you have these roadblocks.
Warning 007.
So that's enough.
Radio scanner has
Just-
picked up activity on the local police band. Patching it through now.
I'm gonna investigate something. Ugh.
We've got ourselves a
But
situation.
turn back now.
Crazy sports car and an alleged kidnapping.
That's pretty cool.
Riverbank on the dump. Take over, Sheriff Pepper. We're on our way.
So I wonder if doing that would like spawn the missile launcher over here, and then we're supposed to turn back again to reach the quote-unquote final bridge. And that's pretty weird. I don't think that's the case, but if you can do it this way, then surely faster than going to the other end of the map and then turning around. But basically, I'm curious to investigate if my understanding of the geometry, or I'm saying geometry when I mean geography, was correct. Okay, so the missile launcher has not spawned here, but it certainly seems like
Target lost. Mission failed.
either
Incoming
it will
transmission.
spawn there,
Return to MI6 immediately.
or there's just a lot of identical well, geometry in literal sense, the polygonal structure of the world.
Thermal.
But at least I wasn't meant to turn back,
Launch the Mars.
as evidenced by the
Destroy
fact that I
bond.
couldn't. Well, I mean, I could, but it didn't help us. But yeah, even the the yellow lightning bolt, okay,
Stay alert, 007. The
very
car was
distinct
never
energy drink
intended to
vibes
sustain
off of
direct
these.
grenade
I cannot
impact.
disagree. So I missed a rocket or whatever, but we'll make up for that because we're definitely collecting more than we need for the objective, at least.
Warning 007. Radio
It's like
scanner
not
has
that
picked up
easy to
activity on the
avoid
local police band. Patching it through now.
All right, boys. We've got ourselves a
the
situation.
mortars or giant spike balls or
Car and an alleged kidnapping.
fucking dead
Down
already.
to the riverbank on
Like
the
even when
dump.
they
Take over, Sheriff
land
Pepper.
like
We're on
totally,
our way.
like I'm not touched by them, I still take splash damage. Obviously I can do better or worse and not take direct hits, but fully avoiding damage is tall order. Yeah, especially when you're like mid jump there and you just can't turn.
Danger. Heavy damage sustained.
I guess I need to drive,
Exterior
I don't know,
bridge
well,
imminent.
assuming the aiming of those things are affected by where I'm driving. Like I can't be driving in the middle of the road, or at least if they target the middle of the road.
Target lost. Mission failed.
See, yeah, it's just, I'm screwed.
Thermal.
Johnson,
But
launch
clearly I
the
could do
Mars.
better than that,
Destroy
so
bond.
yeah, I took it like a pixel damage from both of these. You have the nitro to help you speed along, I guess. Did I take damage from that hitting the roof? I'm not sure. Yeah, I took a few pixels of damage from scraping the side of that car also.
Warning 007. Radio scanner has
Well, shouldn't have picked up that
activity
health,
on the
but
local
whatever.
police band. Patching it through now.
All right, boys. We've got ourselves a situation. A boat, some crazy sports car, and an alleged kidnapping. Get down to the riverbank on the dump. Take over, Sheriff
Missed
Pepper.
that again.
We're on our way.
I mean, I have, what, 5 missiles? Use the nitro here when I'm on a straight. I'd like to at least get to the missile launcher again. Whoa, okay. Okay. Ah, okay. I was about to say that the absurd like splash damage on the explosions are like a pretty infuriating part of this game. Trying to stop and switch from going forwards to backwards or vice versa is perhaps the singular most infuriating aspect.
Direct grenade impacts.
So we located this.
Objective attained.
So this seems like it would be the final bridge, right? Disable boat. Oh, okay. So I tried to do this before and I just couldn't get it to really work. Will I be able to turn this in time
Warning,
here?
Exterior damage detected.
Oh yeah, I'm being exploded. All right, this wasn't a good idea. Could I have turned the camera before? And zoom. Oh, I can do this. Okay, hold R2.
Target lost. Mission
Okay.
failed. Incoming transmission. Return to MI6 immediately.
Are all the levels this hard? No, there's been I wouldn't even say that this is very hard. It's just a little confusing. If I understand what to do, I'm sure it'll be fine. Wait, did I start missions? What I meant to do.
Jaws. Launch the Mars.
But most
Destroy
missions
Bond.
we've cleared in like 2 attempts. Like as far as understanding what to do and still requiring multiple attempts, there's only really been 1 mission.
Watch out, James.
Everything else is just like it might have taken a little bit to figure out what exactly they're asking of us or what the layout of the map is and how that sort of relates to what we're being asked to do.
Warning 007.
But progress was
Radio scanner
quite
has
smooth
picked up
last time,
activity on the
with the
local
exception of that one level that took like an hour and a half.
All right, boys. We've got ourselves a situation. A boat, some crazy sports car, and an alleged kidnapping. Get down to the riverbank on the double.
So I wonder,
We're on our way.
yeah, because when you get the missile launcher, like there just straight up really isn't anywhere to go. So it definitely feels like that's like the end of the level. And if anything is described as a final bridge, it seems like it would be that one bridge. But if also like if that's where the map ends, does like the villain's boat getting there trigger the end of the level, like the mission failure? And if so, shouldn't I try to
Stay alert, 007. The
catch her
car's never
someplace
intended to
else?
sustain direct grenade
Am I
impacts.
supposed to turn around and go? I don't know.
Objective
The reach
attained.
final bridge and disable boat. What if I do this? Okay, I have to be at like a standstill.
Your advances are unwelcome, James.
Pity. I'll cancel our dinner reservations then.
Wait. Turn around. Is it because I hit her?
Target lost.
Okay. Obviously, I kept missing, but I think I hit her once,
Thermal scan.
and she didn't like the mission didn't end when she reached the bridge. She came there and like turned around. But yeah, it's a little convoluted. So to use that weapon, you have to come to a complete stop, and then you press the fire weapon button, which goes into like a first-person aiming mode. And from there, you can aim left and right, but not up and down. And pressing the weapons button again will fire. And that's the R1 button. But you can also hold R2 to like aim faster. Clearly, there's a little bit of travel
Warning
time for the
007.
projectile.
Radio scanner has picked up activity on the local police band. Patching it through.
All right, boys.
So I'm guessing, based on the way the missions structured, or the way the objectives are
Get down to the riverbank
defined.
on the double. 10-4, Sheriff Pepper.
But probably she takes 4 hits, because I need to get at least 4 missiles.
Watch out, James!
But going across the bridge and like getting myself into a slightly better position there, shoot her as she's coming towards me, seems like probably the way to go. There isn't like an excessive amount of time. The rate of fire on the missile launcher seems okay. I just need to aim a little better and remember that I can speed up the aiming. Try to lead my shots a little bit. Whoa. But I don't think I need to / should be supposed to follow her. Okay. Nothing
Your
seems to
advances
hit.
are unwelcome, James.
Pity.
till I got
I'll
closer.
cancel our dinner reservations then.
And yeah, that's another thing. Was that
Target
her on the
lost.
right? I just
Thermal
remember that's the
scan
thing in other
accepted.
missions too,
Hello,
where
007.
you have a
I've been
clear
waiting
view,
for
you can
you
shoot
to
a
turn
missile,
me
but
on.
your projectile just like despawns.
Launch the Morsels.
Like the draw
Destroy
distance of
Bond.
enemy vehicles or other things you want to destroy is greater than the distance your rockets can travel before they just despawn in midair. And that's like not great. But yeah, I'm a little perplexed because clearly that little line of dialogue appears to be triggered by me hitting her. So I think I landed the one hit there both times. But if I'm
Watch out, James!
indeed supposed to hit her 4 times, the window of time for when she gets
Warning
close
007,
enough for the
radio
projectiles to
scanners
actually
detect
hit
activity on the local police band.
to
Patching
where she
through.
just like turns around and leaves and then the mission ends soon thereafter seems rather tight. Oh boy.
Get down to the riverbank on the double. 10-4, Sheriff Pepper. We're on our way.
But it could be one of those things where like when you figure out what
Warning,
how
exterior
you're
damage
meant to do it,
detected.
it's like not necessarily difficult. The game is just asking you to do something in a highly specific way without ever really communicating what that way is or why you would think to do it that way.
The car was never intended to sustain
Yeah.
direct grenade impacts.
Yeah, I'm not fucking deliberately getting hit by the
Danger.
grenades.
Heavy damage sustained. Health packet required immediately.
Packet. I think there's a health packet coming up here. Gives a ton, but hopefully enough.
Objective attained.
So she has to like come around the turn here. Wait, what the okay.
Your advances are unwelcome, James.
Pity. I'll cancel our dinner reservations then.
Did I do it or not? Because I hit her a couple of times. Okay.
Target neutralized. Mission accomplished, 007.
We got it.
Radio
We hit her
scanner
4 times.
indicates local authorities are nearby and approaching quickly.
Well, she hit us a couple of times. Yeah. Sometimes when you clear a mission in this game, it's a little confusing. This shit should be explained better. I don't know. I mean, I think this. I don't disagree, but I would also say that this is pretty much on par with GoldenEye or Tomorrow Never Dies or The World's Not Enough. This is just what it's usually like. Yeah, you can watch the replays. That's pretty cool. So yeah, apparently using the X and square buttons, you could aim up or down, but it won't let you aim up or down with up or down, which is a pretty confounding choice, given that it's not like those do anything else when you're in that aiming view. Very strange, but hey, we got our best score yet, 98%. So I guess we did well. But yeah, it's so weird, like, we got a time bonus, but how much faster can you really do it? Unless there's some rubber banding, which I guess could be the case. You still have to wait for her to show up there. And by the time she shows up, again, like, by the time you can shoot her, there's like a window of what? 10 seconds? Before she just leaves the map and you fail the mission? Anyway. We did it. Ah, top score. It owned Tonal and Board, Robert, Swag, Melange, Sam, Simon, Neil, and Pax. Timers. Oh yeah, cool. Just a classic. Well, it's a good time to fix that. Yeah, live splits, just of all the technical difficulties we could be having, that's a relatively easy one to deal with, but it's kind of annoying. Give me a second. Let me just oh yeah, I can do this, right? No, that's not what I'm. Oh my god. Go to my. No, mute, please. Oh, Jesus. Which can make it easier here. The ongoing VOD, just to see how much time we missed here. It's about 5 minutes, I guess. But let's just we'll start at 4:36. That'll be fine. But thank you for bringing that to my attention. There we go. All right. Oh yeah, let's oh, okay. Well, that's our theory on the mission structure kind of blown apart there. But let's save our game first. So it had seemed up until this point that you do one level at the beginning. That was Eastern Europe. And then there were 3 New York levels, and then 3 Mexico levels, and then we were in Louisiana. So it's like, well, okay, there's probably 3 Louisiana levels. And then you see on the map right there, there's the 3 dots in North America that seem like they could be New York, Mexico, and Louisiana, right? And then there's 2 dots in Europe that are like Denmark and maybe France, maybe London, a little unclear. So I was like, all right, did we clear the New York missions and the Mexico missions, and then after Louisiana we go to Europe? But now we're back to New York after 2 Louisiana missions apparently. What's up, MTI? Have you won the 007 Cup? We have done what, 8 missions or something like that. 9 missions. Out of 9 missions, there have been, I think, 1 mission that had the word race in the title. 1, maybe 2 missions that could be defined as races. So I don't think there will be a cup at the end, but I don't know. There might be. This is not a racing game. I understand that the title may be a little confusing, but this is not a racing game. All right, mission objectives. Download data from 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th limo. All right. So again, you clear a mission, and then you have to read the so-called briefing. The mission briefing is just like, this is where we explain the plot. And sometimes there's a slight element of actual briefing, but usually not. And then you start playing, and then as you're driving, someone's yelling in your ear what you're supposed to do or what's going on. The structure is a little bit messy. Game about racing, but not a racing game. I wouldn't say that. It's a game about driving, but driving does not, you know, necessarily imply racing. Like, a race, in my opinion, implies an element of competition, or if you want to get a little bit less literal, going fast, like going faster than you might otherwise need to. Like he is traversing, he is traveling by car. That doesn't mean he's racing. Describes your heart racing when dealing with the jank. I mean, maybe. Well, I mean, yeah, Franken, you're not wrong in that. Like, what we've just witnessed is the one mission that had race in the title, and it was at least for some of it, you could absolutely describe it as a race. So that's fair enough. If all the missions were like that, a case could be made. But that is definitely an outlier. The game is an objective-based mission game where you drive a car instead of walking on foot, basically. Yeah, I mean, race, like, again, a race, well, I mean, that's the distinction, I guess. A race is a contest, but racing can be done outside the confines of an actual race. I was gonna say, you wouldn't say I'm racing to work, but you know, you might be. If you overslept, you might be racing to work. But I don't feel like is that what the title is or should be referring to? Bond hurriedly driving in a somewhat irresponsible way? I don't know. But as we talked about last time, like, racing, it's succinct, it gets the point across that you will be driving a car in this game and probably not doing much else. And any more artsy and or accurate way of describing the title or describing the activities of the game in the title would probably have been less elegant. So it's like wrong, but still, I think, if not justifiable, at least like defensible. Driving irresponsible like Bond drives any other way. Well, I mean, sure, that's true. And it's, I mean, Lord knows Q and R both like to whine about it. But it's not like you're not selling. Maybe they are. I was gonna say, you're not selling a game based on like 007 reckless driving. It's like 007's failed due diligence, like getting tricked by cunning villains, like whatever, you know. It's like, it's not a good thing. Racing outside of the context of an actual race, I don't think is like a good thing. 007 Speed Devil, sure, I mean, it's like 007 the automobile missions or something, you know. You could think of something, but 007 racing is, you know, it's what they ended up with. As you approach the wreckage of the boat to apprehend Cherise and Jaws, the local police arrive. Was Jaws in the boat too? I guess so. Well, I mean, he was in the picture, so yeah, I guess we're done with them. Teresa's it's quick to use her charm and diplomatic status to convince a gullible Sheriff Pepper that her associate, Dr. Melody Chase, has been drugged by you and held against her will. Watching helplessly as Sheriff Pepper and his deputies hold you back, a limousine pulls up and then drives away with Light, Jaws, and Dr. Chase. Just as the sheriff and his deputy are about to clamp the cuffs on you, Jack Wade arrives on scene and clears things up. Of course, they gotta be fucking bumbling idiots who have the villain explain that, alright, no, so actually James Bond over there is the bad guy, so you gotta let us just leave the scene of the crime. I mean, if her dad's a diplomat, I guess I can actually believe that part. That's probably not that far-fetched. Upon returning to your car, you receive a communique from M at MI6. So here's our, on page 5, whatever, we get to the actual mission briefing. 007, our background search confirms that Dr. Melody Chase is a world-leading virologist who was kidnapped from the Centers for Disease Control in Atlanta. We've also confirmed Zukovsky's report of the stolen vials of smallpox virus in Moscow. Given Dr. Light's knowledge and access from his former post at the World Health Organization, I thought they were talking about her for a second. I got a little confused. That's the dad, right? It is likely he's behind the virus theft as well. That's another red herring. But I guess the plot isn't like that important. I mean, it's cool that they're putting this much effort into it and like putting this much Bond spy secret shit in here. But it's all presented very dryly and just in text, and it's like so. It feels pretty disconnected from the game. The CIA reports movement in Light's operation in New York. Maybe moving its operation back to Europe. Without Miss Light or Dr. Chase in hand, this is the best lead we have at the moment. Moneypenny has booked you on the next flight to New York to investigate. Are we gonna get Moneypenny voiceover? Let's hope. Or perhaps not, given what it might actually be like, based on what our dialogue has been like in the movies. Yeah, so we didn't actually get a briefing. It's like, oh yeah, go to New York, and while you're driving, like, we'll just give you the mission briefing mid-mission. It'll be fine.
The BMW Z8 007, with a few modifications, of course. The very latest in intercepts and countermeasures. Titanium armor, dual side vent deployed missiles, forward-mounted rockets and machine guns, mine dispenser aft, and, naturally, remote control operation. Right then. We've learned that as a security precaution, Hammond Light uses a group of mobile vehicles, each equipped with computer terminals, to transmit his most sensitive data. Each one sends coded packets of information at prescribed intervals. We've modified the BMW's GPS system to track these vehicles and have included an onboard terminal which will allow you to intercept their transmissions. The success of this operation relies on stealth, 007. This means I expect to see this machine returned intact and in fine running order.
I mean, the last time they talked about stealth, there really wasn't, like, it was not an actual, there was no stealth element to that mission. But who knows? Like, again, they haven't explained the mechanics of anything, but I guess, like, do we have to find those vehicles and stay within a certain radius, but not too close, or I don't know. But yeah, as I suspected, it looks like this map is pretty similar to the other New York level, which, for my money, has been like the aesthetically most pleasing level so far. And it's cool that we're here at a different time of day, so we get different lighting, different skybox, this beautiful sunset. I think that's pretty sick.
The GPS system will signal which vehicle is starting to transmit data. Once you locate the vehicle, your display will mark when you're in the correct range to intercept the transmission. You'll need to stay within this intercept radius for the duration of the download. Don't get too close, or they'll break off transmission.
Of course. Oh, there's a timer. Is that the limo in front of us? It would be.
Just 3 minutes left. Easy does it, 007.
Oh, wait, there's a little arrow top left.
Re-establishing connection.
The modem noises. Oh, shit.
Re-establishing connection. Downloading data now.
Okay. I mean, yeah, getting too close didn't seem like a major concern. Oh, dude. Fucking handbrake turns. This seems like it's going to be a pretty fun mission, actually. Even though there's a timer, you get to drive around, it's pretty chill. Assuming they all work the same with the range and everything, probably going to be not a huge deal. And the environment's, like, nice to look at and everything, too, so... No one's shooting...
Establishing connection.
Trying mines at us or anything.
Just 2 minutes left. Easy does it, 007.
Re-establishing connection.
All right. I wonder if this is the exact same map.
Finish 007. You know what birds can do.
I'm pretty sure it is. But I wonder what all these like smoke screens and oil slicks are going to be supposed to be good for. Now there's red dots among the green dot. I don't know. I'll just try to do the objective to the best of my ability and see what score we end up with.
Connection lost. Download aborted.
Fuck's sake! That was not my fault. He just fucking crashed into another car. Wait, there's not even a turn.
Just 1 minute left. Easy does it, 007.
Dude, fucking sidewalks just... Wait,
Careful, 007. You're
police?
not vulnerable, and neither is that vehicle.
Okay. Oh, that's a... Wait. That's not the limo we're hacking. Not even showing up on the radar. So, like, we failed that limo. Does that mean that we just
30 seconds left. I don't need to tell you to hurry.
can't complete the mission? I mean, the time, like, we wouldn't complete anyway, but... Again, it's more about the mechanics of the mission.
We've spent years perfecting this tracking system, 007. I'd be much obliged if you'd actually use it.
Oh,
Yeah,
I
I'd be much
intend to.
obliged if you shut the fuck up.
Allows a man to stop off for a quick one en route.
You failed to obtain the vital information, 007. I expect your immediate return to MI6 to deliver your report.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. What's up, Nikita Lobo? This game, I'm enjoying this game. Like, some of the missions are needlessly confusing. There's one in particular that was really annoyingly difficult because we had to fight forklifts, our greatest enemy.
When you're in the correct range to intercept the transmission.
But I've been pretty impressed with the
for the duration of the download.
variety of the missions.
Don't get too close, or they'll break off.
And there's a lot of stuff that's like a little more smooth and generous than you might have expected.
Steady now, 007. That's your target. Do not engage, but keep him in range.
Re-establishing connection.
Like, it's not easy to see how fast that car's going. And because there's like such inertia and momentum to deal with,
Re-establishing connection.
it's not easy to make like quick adjustments to speed, speeding up or
Re-establishing
slowing
connection.
down. See? Okay.
Download complete.
Alright. Speed up, trying to get to the other car. Is he driving towards us? Nope. Just realized I've been lucky enough
Establishing
to at
connection.
least approach him from behind every time.
Downloading data now.
You tell that it's like doing its best to avoid traffic to not cause me problems, which I appreciate. It doesn't quite always work.
Download
Case in point.
complete.
There are several of you 00 agents, but there's only one of those vehicles I needed back in pristine
Yeah,
order.
yeah. I'm sure the car is worth more than my life. Don't doubt it. Is there a left turn here
Please
somewhere?
mind the finish, 007. You know what birds can do.
Wait, no, did it wrap around? No, okay. Pretty slick.
Establishing connection.
The modem
Just 1
noises
minute
tell you
left.
kind
Easy
of if you're
does it,
too
007.
close. It's not easy.
Download complete.
Probably should have turned back. Yeah, because there's not going to be another turn.
30 seconds left. I don't need to tell you to hurry, do I, 007?
You really don't. You really don't. It's fine. Alright, we're not gonna. Oh my god! I like tap right and he just careens out of control.
Do be careful, 00.
Alright, okay. So I wonder how much of this is like down to luck. With where I'm. There we go.
The BMW.
Where the cars spawn or the
The
order or
GPS
whatever.
system will signal which vehicle is starting to transmit data. Once you locate
Yeah, well, the
vehicle,
first New York, the
your
first time we were in
display
this
will
level,
mark when you're in the correct
we
range
were,
to intercept the transmission. You need to stay within this intercept
we had to
radius for the
drive
duration
like
of the
crazy to
download.
stop bombs,
Don't
so
get
it
too
was
close,
a lot like
or they'll break off transmission.
Die Hard with a Vengeance. But it's like literally the same
Ready now,
map.
007. That's your target. Do not engage, but keep him in range.
Downloading data.
At least
Now.
barely it's the same graphics, just the different lighting.
Download.
And that went a lot
complete.
better. Dude, I don't understand why you like just fully slide out of control. Like the controls are nice and responsive and smooth, and then every now and again you just completely go flying for no apparent reason. But yeah, it seems like I'm driving like completely different places every time. I'm not sure if these cars.
Establishing connection.
Are in like the same spot. Okay, it looks like it can get pretty dang close.
Just 2 minutes left. Easy does it, 007. Please mind the finish, 007. You know what birds can do.
So here. Yeah, there's like a minute per car. That turn really. Ah. Okay, it's on the map. Fuck off. Be right in front of us. Quite.
Establishing connection. Re-establishing connection. Download complete.
Yes, okay. Depending on where it is. Ah, I got bumped. Did not need that. Let's nitro. pretty tense. Okay, I see it on the map.
There are several of you 008.
Ah, okay.
One of
Thank you,
those
car
vehicles
physics.
I needed back in pristine order.
Okay, this might be enough. But I'm not sure about our
Establishing
score.
connection.
I can't see shit. I have to listen to the okay, let's do this.
Re-establishing connection. Download complete.
All right, 1 second left. Woo! Okay, but we actually we got a time bonus.
Well done, 007. We should be able to decode the data shortly and contact you again with the
1
results.
second left on the timer. A massive time bonus for how quickly we did it. And we got a 90% score. How do you... I mean, I guess if you crash into a million things... I mean, I only crashed into about 300,000 to 400,000 things. So if you crash into a whole million things, then I guess you might get... You lose score, but how could you possibly drop down to 50 while still actually completing it? Well, I wonder again, if you get caught and you have to like skip a car, maybe you can still complete the mission, but you'll get a much lower score. I guess that's possible that that's how it works. Because it seemed like I like failed to download data from one of the cars and the mission still continued. I didn't fail the mission. So who knows? Yeah, 0.7 seconds. 0. Well, I was gonna say 0.07. That's not true. 0.7 seconds. How about that? A stunt bonus. Well, that was pretty well. Let me catch up with chat. Yeah, Die Hard Trilogy is like fully unhinged British gaming. I've been meaning to buy that game for a few years because a friend of mine had it when we were kids, and I have fond memories of it, even though it's pretty dank. I never did play the sequel, and I don't know that it's like I don't know that I agree, I should say, Nikita, that people complain about it so much. I don't know that I've ever heard anyone say anything about Die Hard Trilogy 2, but it's one of several Die Hard games that I would enjoy checking out at some point. Work well under pressure. I don't know if that's true, but it worked out this time. I need to get something to drink here. I'm all out. We'll see what's up here. Oh, top score. Ah, we're back to Eastern Europe. Rescue Melody and destroy the underwater lab. Are we? Is this like? Are we near the end of the game? It's so confusing and impossible to tell. But I guess it's Lotus Esprit time. I just assumed that we were like 40% through the game, but now I'm not so sure. Up Jimmy Poopins reminding streamer to hydrate. I'm trying, but I'm fresh out, so I need to take a short break, and I shall replenish the hydration supplies, and I shall be back very shortly. See you guys in a few minutes.
Together by a common destiny, now they meet at the Techno Rage. Known only to those in the underworld, many years have passed since this tournament was last held. Some of the fighters have come for the personal glory. Some have come to fight for those they love. All will do their utmost to gain a victory in this tournament, which will decide their fortunes.
All right, I have returned. I did notice that I forgot to pause the timer, but I have since rectified this issue. Let's see if we can get some game audio back and catch up with chat. I had to leave in a bit of a huff. Just Johnny, what is up? Thought Die Hard Trilogy 2 was good. I've never played it. I don't know that I've ever even seen any of it, but I remember being like intrigued of its existence when it first came out. And I've been kind of curious to play it ever since, because like I said, I had fond memories, even at the time, I don't know that I thought the first game was great. I thought like all three of the games in it had bright spots, but they were also really difficult, which is not unusual when it comes to Probe. Most of their games are like ambitious, weird, and super difficult. It's like pretty typical for a lot of Probe stuff, I feel like. But I think it's totally fair to say, like you're saying, Nikita Low, like people, like if you hear someone talking about them, like it's certainly not as well remembered as the first game. And I think for sure, like what probably happens is not too dissimilar from certain Bond games. A game like Die Hard Trilogy 2 gets compared to people's sort of nostalgic vision of that original game, even if we're talking about like a very brief time span. Like I do think, you know, I remember the first or the sequel being, I mean, it wouldn't have been like super long after the first game, because maybe I'm misremembering. I was gonna say I think it was still on PS1, maybe it was on PS2, but I don't think so, because there was Die Hard Vendetta that was on PS2. Maybe I'm misremembering. Either way, like it would have been a few years removed, and I think that could be enough for people to like, because the first one was like what, 96, something like that. I feel like it came out at a time where a lot of its jankiness would have been pretty forgivable, and in a lot of ways not really very noticeable, because it's just like that's just was what 3D action games were kind of like at the time. It was pretty like impressive in that it had 3 full games in one. So I think a lot of people, to put it in simple terms, if people say that the second game wasn't as good as the first, I would imagine that most of those opinions don't come from people who are doing sort of side-by-side comparisons. They probably are mostly coming from people who play the first game, enjoyed it, but didn't play it in the last several years before forming an opinion on the sequel. 2000, yeah, that sounds right, because I remember it being like pretty late. And yeah, I reckon the first one probably might have had a PC version also. So yeah, because I was gonna say, like, I was unsure also if it was on PS2, because it seemed like it would have been around that time, like 2000, 2001. That makes sense. That's still like 4 years or so. And not only 4 years, like if you think of what the sort of advancements and evolution in 3D action games between 1996 and 2000, like it's a pretty vast gulf. So I think it's entirely plausible, I say, having not played the first game in a very long time and having never played the second game, that the first game was, compared to its peers, perhaps more impressive and more technically accomplished than the sequel would be when that came out. I could see that being the case. Even if, like, in a direct comparison, the sequel might compare, well to the first one. But I don't know. I do think also, like, what is quite likely the case is people remembering playing the first game and really enjoying it at the time, and they kind of expect to get that feeling from the sequel, and then for whatever reason they don't, because it doesn't, like, match up to their expectations, or, you know, it doesn't reach the standards of more sophisticated 3D action games or something. I don't know. Either way, I definitely want to play it sometime. But enough about Die Hard. Let's resume our Bond gaming. Submerged. Rescue Melody and destroy the underwater laboratory. Yeah, it's pretty funny. Like, we rescue this lady, and literally the next mission, we have to rescue her again. Like, well, we rescued her, and then we were escaping with her, and then the next mission is she's gotten kidnapped again, and now we have to rescue her again. So maybe the one after this, we have to escape with her again. When even is this thumbnail? Oh yeah, by the way, as I was kind of, well, I was gonna say, as I was predicting, stealth wasn't too much of a factor in the previous mission. Technically speaking, it kind of was, but not really in the sense that you might think when we, you know, when you hear the word stealth in a video game context. I'll read the storyline before the objectives because it's easier to make sense of it that way. Incoming transmission from M at MI6. 007, we have decoded the computer transmissions you intercepted and extracted data that appears to specify coordinates. We've cross-referenced the coordinates with NATO's low-frequency HARP array and have confirmed the presence of a sizable underwater structure on a small island in the Baltic Sea, just north of the Estonian coast. The ideal place to develop and contain a deadly strain of virus undetected. You are to gain access to this facility and detonate a magnesium-based explosive that will vaporize all traces of the virus. Alright, sounds pretty good. So, yeah, I guess that means unless the people who made this are even worse at geography than I am, these red dots on the map do not represent where the levels take place, because there's definitely... to the best of my knowledge, the coast of Estonia is not to the west of Sweden. And I can see where Sweden is on that map. So who knows? We're going other places, and if so, what those dots are even meant for. Avoid security lasers, locate and rescue Dr. Chase, plant explosive charge, collect 4 antidotes, escape facility. I'm hoping that some of these are going to get some explanation mid-mission here, because what the fuck are even these? It's so exhausting. Like, you're always stressed out about trying to decipher what your mission even is. But it's pretty cool. Do we, like, drive around on the ocean floor, or is there actual submarine action?
Now here is a vehicle I'm particularly fond of. The Lotus Esprit. This one has a great heritage and commands your utmost respect, 007. Although still amphibious in spirit, we've had to remove some of the underwater equipment to make room for her payload. A small-yield neutron bomb designed to burn at extremely high temperatures, vaporizing all organic materials.
Very novel, Q. We must get them to the stores in time for Christmas.
As I was saying, 007, you'll need to bypass the security scanners and navigate your way to the center of the facility marked on your radar display. Once you deploy the bomb, you'll need to make a rather hasty exit. Let's continue the proud tradition of success this vehicle carries, shall we, 007?
All right, so that's how they that's how they manage the underwater amphibious ability. We just emerge from the water in a cutscene, and then we just drive around in this base, I guess. Our goggles. Oh boy. That okay. Oh, what the? Okay.
Your failure surprises me, Mr. Bond. To think you'd consciously allow the death of an innocent civilian. Particularly
all right. Okay, this might.
Dr. Chase.
Jesus. Okay. I wasn't listening to that. Is that the same vaguely German voice that were talking to us in a previous mission? So, how the fuck does this work? Like waving around to the left. Missing me over here at least. Oh! They're so erratic and just...
We've been breached. Secure the perimeter. He must not reach the central chamber.
Oh. I guess I got past the lasers. This is pretty insane. It's a proper lair. Wait, is she the white dot? I guess so. Wait, is this glass?
Oh, James, you're wonderful.
Okay. Plant explosive charge. Where? In here? It doesn't like tell me, does it? All right. Intruder. Okay. Maybe this is where I escape. You alien hallways. Do I like put the bomb in the center of this giant machine thing that's spinning around? It doesn't seem safe to drive with it. It doesn't seem safe to walk around there, I'll say that. Because there's nothing on my map or the radar. Looks like you like... okay. I don't know if that was like a T crossing and I could go the other way. Let me explore here a little bit more first. Like, not being able to look around. The tricky. Okay, I'm pretty sure the only place I can go is that other tunnel, which led to a closed door currently, and back where I came from. I can equip the bomb. I don't know if I can, like, just use it wherever. I mean, this looks like something I might want to explode, so let's see if we can, okay, if I hit R1... Oh. Okay, so those things do hurt me. Okay, but it looks like I cleared the objective of placing the bomb. Yeah. So maybe if we leave, if we enter that tunnel, I mean, there was like 5 seconds after, like, so if I'm driving at full speed and I just drop the bomb in that room and I can, like, go into that tunnel, that's probably gonna work. So maybe the doorway at the end of that tunnel will open up if I've placed the bomb. Like, that could be the case, right? That thing to go left.
I'm afraid it's radio silence from this point on, 007. The structure is affecting transmission strength. Now, as I was saying before...
Yeah, I was gonna say, did we hear that last time? I don't remember hearing that.
Oh, James, you're wonderful.
We do this. Oh, I didn't. Okay. That didn't count. I hope I can pick it up again. Yep. Okay, that's interesting. So I guess I'm meant to have to go within this. Okay. So I guess they don't spin like the radius of where those things spin is like not static. Okay.
We've been breached. Secure the perimeter. He must not reach the central chamber.
Oh, that's why I didn't hear Q last time. Because those guys were chatting. Got it. Was she? Nope, she's over there. So I wonder if I can...
Oh, James, you're wonderful.
if I can finagle the bomb drop without putting myself in excessive risk. Collect 4 antidotes. That's sort of cool. What? Okay, I can't see shit. Replacing car. That looks like a little antidote green bottle of.
How fitting for a naval officer.
Okay. Okay. That happens. But yeah, okay, I think we got it. Seems straightforward enough.
007, we suspect that Dr. Chase may be in the facility.
Like, if I make it to the last room of the lasers, it doesn't really seem to matter too much if I get detected and shot at a little bit. Probably want to not get detected here.
I'm afraid it's radio
beams are a little
silence
mysterious,
from
I'll
this
say
point
that.
on 007. The structure is affecting transmission strength. Now, as I was saying before...
Alright, bombs. Just hope for the best here, basically. Worked out? Okay, so basically, don't crash. And this should be fine?
That should brighten my day.
We'd hope that those blast doors would have helped us, but... Okay, that's one.
You will not leave here alive.
Okay. Hope I didn't miss anything. Explosions, man. Okay, I think I got that one. Can't swap to the antidote to see like an inventory or anything.
Father, I won't make it to the sub in time.
I think we missed one. Yeah, okay. So maybe when I went up that red ramp, I should have gone on the low path on the left, and maybe there was an antidote there. It's pretty stupid. It's like a cool mission, but
ensure you bring her to safety.
Again, like the challenge being in like trying to parse what's going on and like not even understanding why you failed or what you could have done differently. But yeah, that's like the only explanation I can think of that makes sense.
I'm afraid it's radio silence from this point on 007. The structure is affecting
or at the very least we'll try that, because like
now, as I was saying
I can
before,
see there being an item there that was like obscured by explosion sprites, and also just like the cadence of the like when they showed up that seemed about right. Well,
007, we suspect
statistically that was bound to happen. I'm just so relieved that you can just instantly restart. But that's actually been a point of contention with some of the previous games, even on N64, like The World's Not Enough, had these like decompression load screens. And you had to like click through a bunch of briefing screens anytime you wanted to retry a mission. It got a little annoying. So having this like instant restart is quite a nice quality of life upgrade of sorts.
We've been breached. Secure the perimeter.
Might still be okay.
Central chamber.
Lose some points, but on the plus side, we don't need to listen to Q yelling at us.
Oh, James, you're wonderful.
You will not escape alive.
Nice, okay. The first one's up on this ramp on the left, I guess. It's on the, well, okay, something's on the map. Yeah, okay. So let's just keep an eye out for that. That should tell us if we miss one at least. Whoa, hang on, okay, so it's... Oh yeah, because we turn around. I was like, wait, is it behind us? Yeah, because we make this giant turn here.
You will not leave here alive.
Oh yeah, it's down here, okay. That's a bit silly.
Your demise is imminent, Mr. Bond. How does it feel?
Okay. Let's hope that getting shot 100 times didn't lower our score enough to fail us. Oh, we have a big time bonus, so that's fine.
Splendid 007. I knew the Lotus would be a great success.
Basically, once you get a time bonus, you're good. GG, thank you very much. We get the IR vision in the replay. Yeah, like I'm continually I don't know if I should say impressed or relieved, but the scale of this seems pretty funny when you see how gigantic everything is here and how empty it is, by the way. But like, there's so many things that seem like they very easily could be incredibly obnoxious and punishing and terrible. And it's like, okay, yeah, you get some random, like, instant kills or whatever, but at the end of the day, like, most of the, like, we had to make attempts here, multiple attempts before we completed it, but most of it was like understanding the mechanics of this mission. Like, how do these traps work? How do the lasers work? What do I need to collect? That's like the one thing. The other thing is a little bit of luck, and it's like, well, okay, I fucked this up, I'll just restart. So that's not to say I would clear this mission every time if I tried it now, because I could still have bad luck or just be a little sloppy. But it's a short mission, it's like easy enough once you have it. Like, figuring out what to do is like the tricky part. And it's good in the sense that once you have it figured out, it's not that difficult, it's not that punishing. And, you know, because the missions are short, it's a simple enough process of trying it again. But it is, that puzzle solving aspect can be fun, but it also kind of doesn't necessarily feel like it's supposed to be the you know, the challenge of the game. Doesn't seem entirely deliberate. That's like, oh yeah, we made it so it's confusing and you'll have to die a couple of times to understand what it is that you're being asked here. Showdown. I guess this is the end of the game? Well, let's keep going. I guess we might beat it tonight. I wasn't planning on it because I was expecting something else, but that's fine by me. Prevent light from releasing the deadly virus. I guess we should save. You never know what happens. Yeah, the pacing and the drama of the plot is a little leaves a little to be desired. Like there could be, well, we don't know. This might not be the end, because maybe there is a big twist upcoming or whatever. Because I was gonna say, we haven't had a lot of twists. You know, it's like, oh, the sexy lady from the beginning who we rescued was actually a bad guy. You know, there's a twist and everything. But in terms of, like, they stole weapons. They're making a virus. So let's find their base and destroy it. That's like kind of the extent of it. But that's fine. Okay, there is, I can tap right. Maybe that cycles back to the first mission. That's probably what's going on, right? So this is probably the last mission. Let's not spoil ourselves. Drive off cliff to escape virus. Maybe we get another parachute. It's a pretty ominous mission objective, though. All right, 007. So for this mission, we're going to need you to drive off a cliff to escape a virus. But hey, we've been in worse pickles. With Cherise Light eliminated and Dr. Melody Chase rescued, you witness Hammond Light escaping in a miniature submarine. Oh, we heard a voice at the end of the level. I guess that was Cherise speaking, because she was like, "Oh, I'm not going to be able to escape. I will go down with the ship," or whatever. I wasn't paying much attention to what she was saying, because I could barely make it out. But I was like, for some reason, thinking it was the doctor that we rescued. But I guess that makes sense that it doesn't make sense that we would hear her voice, but it makes sense that Cherise Light would be talking about her father, or to her father. But I guess she's dead. Witness Hammond Light escaping in a miniature submarine. Man, there's so many things happening in these cutscenes that were just like, man, or in these cutscenes, in these text pages, that I just wish we had a cutscene of, because it would be pretty incredible. When contacting MI6, M informs you that Light owns a private airstrip on the coast, only miles from your current location, and its destroyed laboratory. Like, that seems like it would be good information to have had previously, but fine, better late than never. En route to Light's airstrip, Melody explains that tens of thousands of Hammond Light's lethally modified vehicles have already been delivered to the unsuspecting public around the world. The vehicles release their deadly cargo... deadly cargo, their death cargo? Through their exhaust systems into the atmosphere. Once released, the virus enters the human body through the skin or respiratory system and immediately begins destroying the internal organs. Subject is dead within 1 week. So, does he have an actual plan, or is he just evil for the sake? Like, let me just... Like, what's a plot that could kill the most amount of human beings on Earth? Let's do that one. I mean, it's like, if that's your goal, this is a pretty Bond villain worthy way of going about it. I mean, it's an appropriate, you know, diabolical plan for a car company themed villain, I guess. He doesn't own, you know, Lotus or Aston Martin or BMW, so I guess he's by definition an evil car company guy. How that works, right? Death within a week seems horribly inefficient. I mean, assuming you can't stop it, like, I mean, I guess the idea, like, I would almost go the opposite, right? Because if you're selling this brand new model of car and it kills everyone who comes in contact with its exhaust within like minutes, it seems like that would like become a little bit of a PR issue. I mean, not to say this wouldn't, but like, if it takes a little bit more time, you get to actually spread around a little bit more exhaust. You get to actually infect more people, giving you some amount of plausible deniability. Because Because, like, assuming people don't know what the virus is or that they've been infected, and there's no... Well, I guess we collected antidotes, so there some antidote exists, but, like... I mean, I would say it's effective enough. I mean, I guess it also says immediately begins destroying the internal organs and you're dead within 1 week. I guess that means, like, at peak physical condition, you could probably hold on for about a week. I reckon a lot of people would be dead a lot faster than that. There's the more time to find a cure and apply. Yeah, I mean, hypothetically, yes. But if we're talking about, like, I don't know, potentially thousands or hundreds of thousands of people all over Europe or whatever. I mean, we don't know. That it could be contagious too, right? Like, maybe it's just we're just gonna start a global pandemic, giving it a week to, like, kick in. Like, I feel like it would be more effective if it was dormant or, like, took longer. Because I reckon most people wouldn't, like, oh, my internal organs are feeling pretty iffy. I better go see a virologist to get my anti-Bond villain death plan cure. I mean, I don't know. There's a lot of details that are being left out here. We don't know exactly, and we also don't know that it's an in any way coherent plan. But hey, it's an ambitious plan. I think it's we've certainly seen Bond villains in films or games with less elaborate, less interesting, less diabolical plans. So I'm pretty good with it. Hammond Light and his team have received inoculations against the virus and as such are immune to its deadly effects. Light has stocks of a serum in various locations around the world that counteract the virus, which he plans to selectively administer to particular groups and leaders who submit to his sovereign rule. I think he was just gonna sell it or something, but works too, I guess. Melody notes with urgency that the key to the release of the virus is a satellite transmitter that Light carries with him at all times. This device signals the satellite to beam the virus unlock code to each vehicle simultaneously via their GPS navigation system. All right, okay. See, that's kind of cool. Like, that makes sense. It's the late 90s, early 2000s. A lot of GPS excitement in Bond villain plots. Oh yeah, I guess that makes sense. Like, you would have the cars out and about, like, get some distribution first and then activate it. I think, you know, I think that works out. I think that works out. I have no idea who that is, but that's fine. Like, I guess it's not Charisse, right? It doesn't look like what
this is where it must
the doctor
end,
looked like either.
007. It is imperative that you use any means necessary to prevent that plane taking off with its deadly cargo.
The Lotus has been through quite a bit, 007. It goes without saying that you should proceed with due caution. You'll have to ram the plane to slow it down and to disable the engines.
Oh, that's it? No long briefing? Yeah, but yeah, I didn't think it was her because I didn't feel like it looked like her from before, but I guess she was wearing glasses and I think she had her hair up, so I guess that makes sense. Okay, so no exciting chase per se. We're just at the airstrip. We're just parked here. What were the objectives? What were we supposed to do? We're supposed to drive off a cliff eventually. That's the only part I remember. Okay, plane. Okay. Disable each engine. Okay, so we gotta, like, stop it from taking off first, I guess, and then we stop the plane. If I crash into these things? Is that the idea? Oh, that's the wheelbase, okay.
Stay back, Mr. Bond. Any closer and I trigger the global release of my deadly virus.
Okay, they start flashing. Okay, I think we fucked up. Listen to the dialogue or whatever. Okay, but it seems like it's going to be pretty,
Light has escaped. Get me a satellite fix on his plane immediately.
Pretty quick.
He must be stopped.
Pretty quick mission. I just realized my thumb is, like, getting all... oh shit, the Crash Bandicoot music is back. Didn't even notice. Yeah, I've been
This
like
is where it must end, 007.
pressing
It is
this
imperative
part of my
that you
thumb
use any
really
means
firmly against the
necessary to
buttons,
prevent that plane
and
taking
just
off with
now
its
realize
deadly
that my
cargo.
thumb really hurts.
The
I
Lotus
gotta
has been...
Just a few more seconds and the code will be transmitted.
be a little more
the
careful. All
victory
right.
will be mine.
So
Stay back, Mr. Bond. Any closer and I trigger the global release of my
Going like-
deadly violence.
I think I bumped into them. Okay, it's like too late.
Just a few
And I'm
more
not
seconds
sure
and the
if,
code will be transmitted.
Like, do they
The
take one
victory
hit
will be
each? Am I supposed to
mine.
pick up another weapon?
Stay
Now they're
back, Mr.
flashing.
Bond. Any closer and I trigger the global release of my deadly violence.
That's it! He's slowing down!
Oh. I guess I did it. Lost a bunch of health, but...
For heaven's sake, 007, stay clear of the plane's jet wash. Do you have any idea how difficult it is?
Oh, no, I destroyed one engine. Wait, what the fuck? Okay. So, stay clear of the jet. I'm not supposed to go behind it.
Seconds and the code will be transmitted.
Okay,
The
this is gonna take a few
victory will
while,
be mine.
a few attempts. Just understand.
Stay back, Mr. Bond. Any closer and I trigger the global release of my deadly violence.
Like, imagine the speed is so difficult, and now he's accelerating and I can't catch up.
Just a few more seconds and the code will be transmitted. The
over
victory
here.
will be mine.
Like, because it's not flashing yet, I'm assuming... Like, I'm not achieving anything. Oh, look at my health. Classic.
There are several of you 00 agents present. One of them is
Okay.
Just a few
I don't
more
like again. I
seconds
don't know
and
that
the
it's going to be
code will
difficult
transmitted.
once I understand
victory
what
will
I'm
be
being
mine.
tasked to do and how this is going to work. At least every attempt takes like 5 seconds, so
Stay back, Mr. Bond. Any closer and I trigger the global release of my deadly violence. Goodbye.
nope.
This is
Like I
Just a few
feel
more
like I must
seconds
be on
and
the
the
right
code
track
will be
because I
transmitted.
clearly did something
victory will
at least
be mine.
once. But I don't know, again, I'm assuming, even though it makes no sense, that like I'm not damaging it.
Stay back, Mr. Bond. Any closer and I trigger the global release of my deadly violence.
Alright.
Just a few more seconds and the code will be transmitted.
This is like the first time in the
victory
game
will be mine.
where we seemingly are being asked to like deal damage by colliding with stuff.
Stay back, Mr. Bond. Any closer and I trigger the global...
I just started spinning around for no reason.
Just a few more seconds
And as
the
such,
code
like,
will be transmitted.
I don't
The
know what the
victory will be
mechanics
mine.
may be of inflicting damage by colliding with stuff. We certainly receive a lot of damage by not
Stay
necessarily
back, Mr.
colliding, just by
Any closer and
being
I
in
trigger
contact.
the
I'm holding
global
right, by the way.
release of my deadly...
Yeah, just completely lose control.
this is where it must end,
Just a few
Okay.
more seconds and the code will be
If we can't figure
transmitted.
this out, I'll be
The
perfectly
victory will be mine.
willing to receive advice from chat or read a walkthrough or something, because it's
Stay
very
back, Mr.
confusing.
Bond. Any closer and I trigger the global release.
Like the. I thought it was
Just a few
annoying
more
enough trying to
seconds and
match the
code
speeds
will
of the
be
limousines in New York,
The victory will be mine.
but like I'm going way too fast until I'm going like not nearly fast enough.
Stay back, Mr. Bond. Any closer and I trigger
I'm
the
rubbing up
global
against it. Oh,
release
that
of
worked.
my deadly violence.
Okay, I can't crash into it too hard. I need to like carefully rub up against it like this. Oh, but only when it's flashing, I guess.
Stay clear of the plane's jet wash. Have any idea how
Ugh. Okay, so destroying an engine does not
Seconds, the code will be transmitted. The
limit the plane's ability to accelerate or to reach a certain speed. It just means that it's like starts over on its process of doing so.
Stay back, Mr. Bond. Any closer and I trigger the global release of my
So I just need to
deadly
position
virus.
myself. And then when it starts flashing and starts accelerating again, that's when I start rubbing up here.
Your attempts to stop me will fail, Mr. Bond.
I don't know about that.
For heaven's sake, 007, stay
For heaven's sakes, John, please
jet
leave me
wash.
alone.
Have any idea how
Who's the field agent here? You or I? Okay, we're losing a lot of health, but we'll do it.
James, we've
Nice.
been hit hard. Smoke is pouring from the console.
Any bright ideas?
Oh, bother. It sounds as if you damaged your electrical systems. Right then, switch to manual systems, 007. You'll need to move the tracking cursor over the target and keep it steady before firing.
Okay,
All your meddling can't stop me, Mr. Bond.
I can't move, by the way.
Soon all the world will know the power of Dr. Hammond Light.
Oh, there we go. What am I shooting? Oh,
Sorry, Doctor. The jet flight's been cancelled.
yeah, I don't think we've succeeded there.
Light has escaped. Get me a satellite fix on his
Has
plane
he really?
immediately.
Has he really escaped? Yeah, you would think that taking out the landing gear would be easier than all the engines, but that's fine. We're making progress. We're making progress.
Just a few
So
more seconds and the code
for some
will be
reason,
transmitted.
like you can
The
see already, I
victory
can
will
tap
be
L1
mine.
to equip the missile launcher, but I can't use it yet. And after
Stay back, Mr. Bond.
like phase
Any
1,
closer and I trigger the global release of my deadly virus.
can we do it? No, too late. After phase 1, like
Just a
the
few
car
more
goes into like
seconds and the
cutscene
code
mode
will
and
be
like parks in the
transmitted.
middle of the runway.
The victory will be
Um,
mine.
So I figured, like, all right, now that I'm at a standstill, maybe I can equip the, like, actually equip the missile launcher and
Stay
have
back,
it work.
Mr. Bond. Any closer and I trigger the global release of my deadly virus.
That didn't appear to work. And then eventually I pressed, like, L2, which isn't what you use to equip weapons, and it just equipped it. But maybe it was a coincidence.
For heaven's sake, 007, stay clear of the plane's jet
Ah, nope.
Just a few more
And I wasn't
seconds
sure,
and the
I forgot
code will be
again.
transmitted. The
You can aim
victory
left or
will be
right
mine.
in the first person aiming with the analog stick or D-pad. But to aim up or down, you need to use square and X.
Stay back, Mr. Bond.
as opposed
Any
to up
closer
and down.
I trigger the global release of my deadly virus.
And then you like started aiming off to the side. And I forgot that you have to hold R2 to aim not super slowly.
Your attempts to stop me will fail, Mr. Bond. I admire your persistence, Mr.
Good.
Bond, but your attempts are futile. You can no longer stop the inevitable.
I'll try to press L2 sooner, but that might have just been a coincidence that you automatically equipped.
James, we've been hit hard. Smoke is pouring from the console.
Any bright ideas?
Oh,
Okay.
bother. It sounds as if you damaged your electrical
Maybe if I'm
Right then, switch to manual systems, 007. You'll need to move the tracking cursor over the target.
Yeah,
and
okay, so
keep it
L2 normally
steady before firing.
does that. I think I just need to
All
wait,
your meddling can't stop me, Mr. Bond. Soon all the world will
then
know the
shoot the
power of
thing.
Dr. Hammond Light.
R1 doesn't do anything. Oh, there we go.
Sorry, Doctor.
Oh, there we go. Now I can move.
James, The plane had the virus on board.
Drive off the cliff.
From the
Okay.
explosion could be highly lethal. We need to get
Highly
out of
lethal.
here now.
Not just slightly lethal. Three seconds. Wait, where's the cliff?
Bond is down. Get me a satellite fix
Okay.
on Light's plane immediately. He
All right.
must be stopped.
So you regain control after firing the final rocket at the whatever the explosive bits at the bottom was. So I could have started driving sooner, but I didn't realize.
Victory will be mine.
I didn't know what the mission objective looked like ahead of time, so therefore I couldn't really do it. But now we know.
Stay back, Mr. Bond. Any closer and I trigger the global release of my deadly virus.
Yeah, it's a bit funny that you have to like wait for the engines to activate and then you rub up against them. That's how you destroy them. You don't really like bump them or
Your attempts to stop me will fail.
ram them or anything. You just gently slide up against the side like so. So I wonder if like, oh, I guess not. I was gonna say like if the speed at which I'm doing this
But your attempts are futile. You can no
affect the
longer stop
positioning
the
of
inevitable.
like how far away I am from the cliff.
James, we've been hit hard. Smoke is pouring from the console.
Any bright ideas?
So here, I'm at least like trying to stay a little bit to the side and not like right in the middle, in the front of the plane.
Tracking cursor over the target and keep it steady before firing.
But yeah, our car just fixes itself after we shoot the plane. It's a little contrived.
Soon all the world will know the power of Dr. Hammond Light.
Guess we're now shooting the lane. Okay, yeah.
Sorry, Doctor.
Yeah, so now I
but
can
your flight's been cancelled.
do this right away. 20 seconds.
James, the
Am I
plane
supposed
had
to
the
turn
virus on
right?
board. The fallout from the explosion could be highly lethal. We need to get
Or do
out
I just
of
go
here
straight down this
now.
road? Okay. There's a little fence there. Okay, cool. FMV? Oh, hell yeah.
Don't worry, Melody. From here on in, it's smooth sailing.
Of course, the amphibious car only works underwater when we don't control it.
I can't understand what turned someone into such a monster, James. Light was prepared to exterminate most of mankind to realize his dream of world domination.
His operation has been dismantled. The virus destroyed. It's over now, Melody.
What do we do now, James? We're in the middle of the Baltic Sea.
It's 12 hours to England.
What's this music? Alright, okay. James Bond will return. Alright, that's pretty good. Have we seen that in a game? I mean, they put that, like, that's in the credits of most of the movies. I don't recall seeing that in a game before. We might have, but... Okay, I guess we cleared the game. No credits or anything. Maybe we need to... Oh, 100%, 15,000 points. The end of GoldenEye. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Like, maybe they did that at GoldenEye. Oh, did we get... Oh.
Your performance calls for a celebration, Mr. Bond. What do you say we pool our resources?
So I think that might be because we actually got a cheat. Okay, we have some research to do before we're completely done here. There's alcohol, yeah. So every mission has a cheat you can unlock. And it'll tell you which difficulty you need to do it in.
I know you like to keep abreast of things, James.
Yeah, so that's
So
her.
here's a little hint that might assist you.
There's some other characters that I'm... Well, okay. For the first mission, you see Shiri's Light, and that's, what's her name? Melody Chase? And then here, I don't know, is this Koskov's assassin, maybe?
I'm afraid I have nothing to show you yet, Mr. Bond. You're going to have to work for it.
Accent checks out, I guess. I think this is like a different character.
You can turn off the charm, Mr. Bond. I'm immune. What does intrigue me, though, is a challenge. Are you up for it?
I have no idea who that is. Sarah's like, all right, do we get a different character for each of them? But no.
Looking for something, James? Or just looking? Either way, I hope this will whet your appetite for adventure.
This series again.
I know you like to keep abreast of.
Yeah, it's just the same one. Her again.
I'm afraid I...
Yeah, whatever. This is the breakout. That's the night vision mission.
You can turn off the charm, Mr. Bond.
Looking for something, James?
Oh, interesting. Okay, so this nice. This actually confirms something.
You can turn off the charm, Mr. Bond. I'm immune. What does intrigue me, though, is a challenge. Are you up for it?
We cleared the first mission, and the first time we cleared mission 1, we also managed to complete the cheat requirement. So that's why it doesn't play a little video here. It just like has this picture and it says pre-mission replay. And I don't like activate it or anything, I guess. It's just, is it just enabled? I have no idea what it, I mean, I don't know how it works, but I also don't know what it means. What's pre-mission replay? Does that mean I can get to watch it? I don't know. Maybe we should try to figure that out. So because we got it this at the beginning of the game, there, as the manual explains, there's 2 FMVs. There's one at the beginning of the game and one at the end. And we got basically the intro was very similar to the ending. You get this FMV cinematic, and then at the end of it, tacked on in a way that feels very unrelated to what we just saw, you see this sexy CG lady talk to the camera. And I thought, when we looked at the menu, because it's featuring this character, I thought, okay, maybe that FMV was for unlocking the cheat. Maybe it wasn't part of the opening video. So now that we got that video at the end, I thought, oh, maybe that video was all part of the cheat and we got the cheat on the final level, but we didn't. So it was just part of the FMV. Speaking of what you're supposed to, oh yeah, you have to watch this before you can see the
you can turn
requirement.
off the charm, Mr. Bond. I'm immune. What does intrigue me, though, is a challenge. Are you up for it?
2 minutes. Okay. So I do like that the cheats aren't all like completing a goal time. Sometimes they're more specific things. 2 minutes. What was my final? Did we get a time? Oh yeah, we didn't get to see any records for the... We just saw the score. Yeah, the opening... That's right, because that was the same thing in the opening level. You don't get to see the mission completion score thing. There's no score counter where you see the time or anything. You just... Because it transitions directly into the FMV. And then at the end, you just see your score. You don't get to see your completion time. So I don't know. Well, maybe we did it in 2 minutes, but you have to be on 00 Agent to get that cheat. But now that we've beat the game, we can go to 00 Agent. But do we have access to all the missions? Oh, no, of course we don't. Of course we don't. So I want to take a look here just to see. So right now, the objectives don't appear to be any different on 00 Agent, but maybe they are for other stages. Let's save, sure. So before I end the timer, let's check one more thing. So yeah, that was okay. I thought we had like 2 more exotic locales to go to, but no, there was one less mission in Louisiana than I expected, and then we were just headed right into the end game. That was a little unexpected. But I'm still so thrilled and relieved that we didn't have more like terribly obnoxious missions like the ones we did today. Even when they took a little trial and error, they were fun. Like that trial and error was fun. The forklift trial and error was not fun. So can I... Yeah, so we have videos. Oh yeah, we didn't watch this. I mentioned that last time. Oh, we'll save this as a little bonus for the end. The World's Not Enough game trailer. Let's check it out. This game was pretty cool. A little sizzle reel. Oh shit. Like unique FMV. All right. But that's time. Sub 6 hours. This is actually a really sweet looking like staff roll. The lovingly rendered CG cars and sexy ladies on top. Sure, why not? When the end credits didn't trigger, I wondered if they would be, because I've seen other games, and I think even some of the ones we've played recently, they had credits that were just sort of set within the interface of the main menu, which is like very anticlimactic. I don't understand why this didn't play immediately after the end cutscene though. But yeah, it's very funny. Like that one fucking forklift level just sticks out like such a sore thumb. For everything else was like fun. That's interesting. So Alistair Brimble actually did music for this. He was credited for some sort of sound production, something or other, on, I think it was The World's Not Enough on N64. Maybe the PlayStation 1? One of them. Whichever one had like the shitty music. But he didn't compose for it, I don't think. He was like, I guess on the EA side, some kind of sound production supervisor, something or other. Alistair Brimble, in case you don't know, I can't off the top of my head name any games he worked on, but he is like an old school composer for like I guess C64, Amiga stuff. I don't know that he did like an amazing career-defining job on the menu BGM in this, but it was good. It was fine. It served its purpose. Character dialogue, additional character dialogue, original story and characters. Man, they really didn't do much with like bringing back, you know, some of Bond's greatest adversaries or whatever. Like, there's like Whisper, who's this random henchman, is kind of mentioned. Jaws is mentioned in text and one picture. Like, it's cool when they bring in like Jack Wade and fucking Sheriff Pepper, but I'm a little surprised that they didn't push harder on that. Just like bringing in, you know, the same typical kind of rogues gallery, Odd Job, and I don't know, Bones, as he's called, Baron Samedi. Alistair Brimble did music for XCOM. I see. Yeah, I just know that it's like a known and respected name, but I never made the effort to actually learn what he worked on. Like, I'm having some chat connectivity issues, but hopefully I'm not missing anything. Mortal Kombat 2 for the Amiga. I'm curious if that Probe do those ports? Because they did the Mega Drive ports, of course. Actually, I guess I don't know if Probe really did much They seemed like they would be an Amiga developer, but I don't know how much Amiga stuff they did. They could have done a lot of stuff, but I'm not super... Amiga stuff isn't really my area of expertise. Oh yeah, I know he's very prolific. Like I said, I just couldn't name anything by name that I know that he worked on. But I know that his name is like worth recognizing and worth going, oh shit, he's involved in this, that's cool. I think the other name that was in the other game was Rob Hubbard. Who's a similarly accomplished games music person. Who was also around with EA for a long time, because I think Rob Hubbard did some... I think he did like Road Rash. He did some like Mega Drive, early Mega Drive stuff for EA. Doesn't appear that he was involved in this one though. Well, this was fun. I was frankly a little bit intimidated by the prospect of playing this game. I was expecting to be struggling an awful lot, but because I went in with that expectation, the fact that I really didn't struggle much just made it feel very pleasant. And I think it's a decent game. I think it's like, I was surprised at some of the production value aspects to it, but then there's other parts that feel so cheap and rushed. Like, again, everything to do with the story and how the story is presented feels so, I don't want to call it tacked on, but there's a significant lack of like connective tissue between the narrative and the gameplay experience. So much of it is just being done in text. So much of it is just like narration explaining what happened. I honestly think that if they could have had the budget and the resources to visually present... Yeah, this is like the third time the video is looping. If they'd had the resources to more visually present the scenes, like imagine if every level had a CG cutscene like the ending. Even the little briefing videos in Tomorrow Never Dies that were like mostly stock footage with voiceover still felt like they tied things together more than the weird narration text in this. Like the fact that we have mission briefing screens with text, but then they just like, well, let's put all the plot here also because we don't have anywhere else to put it. And the plot being presented in a very strange fashion. Like the plot events, like the whole Bond being kidnapped and having the villain monologuing to him, like that should have been a cutscene. But beyond that, a lot of the time, some of the stuff that like will be happening or has happened could be folded into the mission briefing, but they just didn't write it that way, and it comes across as a little bit weird for sure. But I think the mission design was pretty good. I think there was an impressive amount of variety in how the missions were laid out, and I think it was, for the most part, pretty successful in what it was attempting to do. And if you really did enjoy the game or you bought this and you want more, more game for your money, there's 00 Agent and there's all these cheats to unlock. There's like a little bit more stuff to do, and there's a 2-player mode. So yeah, I think this game is neither terrible nor impossible, nor a super cheap throwaway cash-in. Like, especially if you think of the entire kind of PS1 Bond trilogy, right? Because you have Tomorrow Never Dies, The World's Not Enough, and this. And I like the other games better, I think I would say. Well, I don't even know if that's true exactly, but they were more immediately like appreciable for kind of what they were. This, it took a while to sort of figure out what this game even is. Those, especially The World's Done Enough, had a ton of FMV, which was like a cool little treat. But in general, they had good production values and were like well made, but also felt very, very slight. And not just saying like all the games were too short, but like the levels were very small. Especially Tomorrow Never Dies had these like extremely truncated versions of the events of the film. So like comparing it to GoldenEye, which sort of expands on stuff, and it sort of uses the movie as a springboard to come up with its own ideas and like this kind of alternate plot line with some extra missions. Tomorrow Never Dies was like the opposite, where the big set piece of the movie, the whole like escape sequence with the motorcycle and the helicopter fight, that's just like completely taken out. The underwater submarine like scuba diving expedition, which is what brings Bond and Wailing together, like that's taken out. It's like missing major beats, even major action beats. So it felt very constricted by, if not budget, at least development schedule. And it was it felt like a small game, and I was surprised that The World Is Not Enough felt similar, because I had assumed that the reason that Tomorrow Never Dies felt that way was because the game kind of started over development. Like it was kind of in development hell for some time. But The World's Not Enough was kind of like that too, and in that context, like this game doesn't seem any smaller or restrained or like limited than those two games, really. So I think like a fair argument could be made for either of the three games as like the best or anyone's favorite. I think they each have something unique to offer, which is cool. Found cheats. You know, that's a great call. Let's go to the game FAQs page for this game and see what we can learn. And see if there's anything interesting worth looking at. Yeah, this has a Metacritic score of 51 according to Game FAQs, which I think is I don't know. I mean, it's not an absurd score, but it is absurd in the context of how games get reviewed. Like, is this it's an average game, 5 out of 10? Yeah, I could see that. That's reasonable. But 5 out of 10 doesn't mean average, does it? It means dog shit, basically, to people who give or care about review scores. So in that context, I think it's extremely harsh. Let me go take a look at the cheat page. Aston Martin Vantage in multiplayer mode. The cheat code for a specific car. All right. Cheat mode. All pedestrians. Unlock all levels. Play as a forklift. Secret vehicle. Enter name D. Forklift at the name input screen. Now you can play as a forklift. Warning, you can't shoot missiles, but you can shoot your machine gun. Let's just read the list of cheats. We got time to kill. We're gonna go over the spreadsheet before we're done tonight for sure, but we'll have a little time to kill here. So let's see what it says. Okay, so it's just a list of everything in a completely random order, it looks like. No, okay, it's an alphabetical order of the cheat effect, so whatever. But let's just see what they are. Blue security beams. Finish the submerged mission on the agent difficulty setting with 100% health. So I guess that basically means probably dodging the lasers. If you dodge the lasers, you get that. But blue security beams, what does that even mean? Does that mean that the lasers are visible without IR? I don't know. Colored missile smoke. These cheats don't sound that exciting. Oh, compound arena in 2-player mode. That means you unlock a different... Yeah, there's like a new map Yeah, some of the cheats are for unlocking maps in 2-player mode. That's a little weird. Double damage in 2-player mode, double health in 2-player mode. Get all gadgets. Finish the showdown mission on the 00 agent difficulty setting within 2 minutes. Yes, that's the... If you clear the final mission on 00 agent, which by the way, you have to clear the game on agent before you get access to 00 agent. That will get all gadgets. So does that mean that whenever you play a mission, you now have to cycle through 50 useless gadgets? That doesn't sound like a good cheat. Get all missions. That's so weird. Finish the highway hazard mission on the 00 agent difficulty setting. So you have to go like... It sounds like the cheat just unlocks all levels. So the cheat to unlock all levels is to beat the game once, then get to the halfway point of the game on the second difficulty and doing it really well. And then you'll unlock like 5 more stages. That's so weird. Green skid marks. Finish the escape mission on agent with 100% score. Oh. No radar in 2-player mode. Pre-mission replay. Yeah, that's the one we did. Which I have no idea. Oh, wait. What? Pre-mission replay, it says. And then it says the description on how to get it. It says, finish the pre-mission on the agent difficulty setting. You'll have to finish it within 1 minute 30 seconds. So the prologue mission, is that the pre-mission? And now we have a replay, which I guess we didn't have before? That's confusing. I mean, I guess when you beat it normally, it goes into the cutscene, so maybe you don't get to see the replay. But if you have the cheat enabled, you'll see the replay instead of the cutscene? Is that what that means? Huh. Purple explosions is another cheat. Red water. Rooftops arena in 2-player mode. And slippery tracks. Man, these cheats are all pretty terrible, aren't they? I don't feel like... I mean, unlocking stuff for 2-player mode at least has some meaning to it, but like changing colors of various random things in the world and like unlocking a replay, like, man, okay. So I thought the cheats menu was like cool. These cheats are absolutely not worth like grinding for. So let's look at the cheat codes. There's the cheat code, like button combination type codes. And I guess most of them are just entering name. Yeah, okay. So you can enter cheat mode. MMMQRRQ as the name in the mission mode. Which, does that just unlock everything? Cheat mode unlocks all level cheats. Okay. I guess that's what it does then. All pedestrians. Enter Lemke as the name in mission mode. We'll try the forklift. Why not? I think that's the one that seems... We'll do a new game. Tall, are we talking? I don't know. I did save, right? Let's just be extra sure. I'm pretty sure I did save, but let's... I don't know that it matters. Am I ever going to play this game again? Probably not. But just for my... for my peace of mind. I guess we can try tall pedestrians also. Yeah, I know it's safe, successful. Can I please leave this menu? All right. Now we get to enter the name, right? Okay. I have to start this to enter a name. No, do I play the pre-mission for... Oh, man. It's cool that you could still start a new game as 00 agent. Like, you don't have to, like, continue the same save or whatever. Where am I supposed to enter the name? Because it's not like the save file. You're supposed to enter... I guess we need
Satellite
to
reconnaissance.
clear a mission first. Does it sound like the record screen?
For the sake of the...
Oh yeah, I killed her. That's right, because there's splash damage. This mission is really short, so it's worth it for the forklift. I mean, not really, but you can pretend it is.
For the sake of the car, 007, return fire! You'll note, 007, that the Stinger missile is the only way to neutralize airborne attacks.
I remember this being pretty confusing and taking a couple of attempts. I don't remember...
Lock on your target with the Stinger missile.
So can
You're going to need the Stinger missile to complete your objective. You'll need
Yeah, I
to
did collect the
restock your
Stinger.
ammunition.
Did I, like, advance further? Is that what I was... Just don't remember at all.
Careful.
Is this like you drive around here to escape?
We've got company.
No, that's the end of the level.
There's the
Okay.
border. Hurry, Mr.
Actually, what if we just do this?
The mission has been compromised. We are sending in field agents immediately.
You were supposed to crash through that helicopter, by the way. That is how you beat the mission. No. And I remember this took a couple of attempts because this part is so confusing. So that red missile thing there, that is the
For
Stinger.
the sake of the car, 007, return fire!
Did she get inside?
You'll note...
I think she did. Yeah, okay. Maybe I need to just... Oh wait, hang on.
You need to use your rockets, 007. Aim carefully and fire to clear your path.
Now I have it in my inventory and I didn't before?
Watch out!
Did I just shoot it? I don't think you're supposed to be able to shoot it without locking on. Well, we have it in our inventory now, at least.
Target with the Stinger missile.
Wait for the... No, smoke. Waiting for that reticle to turn green. Okay. I don't remember this being quite this obnoxious before, but probably was.
Wonderful shot, Mr. Bond.
I saw the helicopter there for a moment. I was gonna say, if I keep driving here, maybe it'll pop down here and I can shoot it.
Careful.
Oh, I didn't mean to. Oh, there we go.
Well, you won't be hanging around.
2,000 points.
We've got company.
Yeah. this level took a few attempts. This gets pretty
There's
fucking
the
weird.
border. Hurry, Mr. Bond.
Oh, I'm trying to turn around.
Do be careful, 007. That paint is incredibly hard to find.
Did we clear the mission or did we get stopped? I think we died.
The mission has been
Oh yeah, we failed to
compromised.
jump the
We
border.
are sending...
Died again? Yeah, this first mission is a bit fucked. I missed the door because the missile
Hurry, Mr. Bond.
hit the dudes.
Watch out!
Alright. There's one more roadblock, I think. So whenever you pick up weapons, you automatically swap to that weapon, by the way.
Lock on your target with the Stinger missile.
I fucked up. Accidentally shot my Stinger missile into the wall because I thought I could lock on there and I didn't. Stick around long enough to confirm.
For the sake of the car, 007, return fire.
Incessant John Cleese whining starting off immediately, by the way.
Lock on your target with the Stinger missile.
The red was green there for a second. Like circling around. Just like never on screen. Just like above me.
Well, he won't be hanging around.
It's so awkward.
Careful.
Hopefully.
Mind the gap.
Oh yeah, I guess we'll use the oil slick. Thought I had missiles, but I accidentally kept switching.
There's the border. Hurry, Mr. Bond.
There we go. Well, we can watch the FMV. Why not?
Well, it seems we've cleared customs, Cherise.
Thank you, Mr. Bond.
Call me James.
It looks pretty creepy.
What is it?
We've got company. I had a few optional extras installed. For just
It's very
such a
funny. Like it does not look like Pierce Brosnan. Like from certain angles and certain facial expressions, you can at least tell that it's meant to be him. But it really doesn't
give our guest the slip,
look
shall
like him.
Hold on.
Or I guess like with the knowledge that it's supposed to be him, you can kind of accept that it's meant to be him, sort of. But I don't know that if any point it actually does look like him.
Love a drive in the country, don't you?
You think the reason there weren't cutscenes after every mission is they ran out of time or money? I don't know that I would phrase it about as such about running out.
Good work on the light operation.
I don't think they had budget for it.
007, upon your return, a new crisis
certainly
has arisen. We are facing a major threat to global stability.
I think is like the only logical assumption. I don't think they thought it would be better to not do it.
United States have been attempting to level the playing field.
I think they had a budget that they had to
a limited technology pool.
Distribute in a way that made sense. And I think having this like little intro, little briefing.
Factions, the levels of technical innovation we possess. 2 days ago,
they did put the little gun barrel sequence in, right? And they have this little pre-mission, which I guess is what they call it, and then you go into this briefing. I can imagine that they probably would have liked to have put a proper Bond opening in between. Like you clear the first stage, you have the little cutscene, and then it goes into like the opening credits. Like that would have been perfect. But there aren't any opening credits, which, in fairness, most games don't have. We've seen it like once or twice.
Combined, these
but it would have been cool.
The smallest rogue faction, the framework for an intercontinental ballistic missile program.
But the raid on the ship.
But yeah, I mean, there's just not a lot of like even within the game world that we see. Like, there's a few levels where you achieve something, and
yes,
there's a camera cut away to something else exploding or whatever. But like that's about it.
The technologies integrated with the car.
We technically see some characters exist in the world. We never see Bond outside of the car. We do see him through the windows.
Why do you ask?
like slightly Bond-shaped dummy behind the wheel. But yeah, I was hoping that we'd see actual, like,
007, your hunches are cause
with the
for
credits of the
sleepless
characters
nights
and like mentions
But
of
for now,
villains
I
and stuff,
need
like
you to rendezvous
I was
with your
hoping that
friend
we
from
might
the
see.
CIA, Jack Wade.
Wonderful. I haven't been called Jimmy in years.
Questionable likeness there, but cool still. I was hoping that we'd actually get to see characters, but I was also kind of expecting that we might see. You know, it's funny. I kind of made jokes that like, are we going to hear a villain, like someone's voice come through a just a parked car with tinted windows, and even that turns out was like more ambitious than what they ended up doing, which is describe in text
Field operatives use every means
that Jaws is there, and then put a stock photo of him in the mission logo screen, like, or like the cover image. So like that's it. All right, finally we made it to the name entry. What was it? D. Berkelft. Oh, interesting. Okay, so that activated. We heard a little laugh. But we don't actually have to keep that name. That also means we could hypothetically enter more names. Let's get some tall pedestrians in here. That didn't work. That's fine. I mean, I don't know that it... Well, because I think you get to enter the name every time clear a stage. Not that I intend to clear a lot more stages after this, but... Well, we can do this level, sure, why not? Like, you would think that you'd be able to unlock like a car menu, like a car selection, so that for each level you can pick whatever car you like. That seems like it would be an easy option.
Welcome to New York, Mr. Bond. I've taken the liberty to include a welcome gift with your car to ensure your arrival is celebrated in a most explosive manner. Do not think of stopping to disable the bomb, as slowing your car will result in its detonation. And your license to kill does not include Manhattan residents. But don't fret, Mr. Bond. I'm sparing you the significantly
Seeing a
more
forklift down
grisly
there.
fate that awaits the rest of the world.
Pretty good. Yeah, so this is the Die Hard stage. What's up with the oh shit! We got tall pedestrians. I think the camera's fucked up as a result also.
And placed frequency distortion transmitters at specific
I don't have an objective arrow.
Confuse the bomb's detonation device for a brief period, gaining you valuable seconds. Good luck, 007.
I wonder if the camera is because I'm in a forklift or because of tall pedestrians.
Does Her Majesty think that's legal?
Goodbye, Mr. Bond.
Is that supposed to be the voice of whatever his name was, the villain? Because I was very confused when I got here for the first time. We start hearing this somewhat German voice. Pretty good though. But yeah, this was a lot harder when you don't have an arrow, and I mean, I would say that the handling was because of the forklift, but yeah, and then this happened. Luckily, I could just push through somehow, but we were like out of time anyway. Dance. Well, I think we've messed around enough. So, let us do this. thank the game for its service. We get some other jams going here. And we should have just enough time to do some spreadsheet act. You want to follow along? On command, you have the spreadsheet right there. Oh, I totally forgot to even update it that we started playing it, but that's fine. We'll just fill. Give me a moment, and I shall get this up on screen. Correct, so I can. Well, let's first get the details. Started this on Saturday, so that would have been the 2nd December. And we completed it 4th. Completed. Let me also, by the way, this enough, but maybe see what's happening here. We completed it in 5:56:07. Completed the game on Agent. More to say about that. We'll unbold this. We shall green it. The next game, we're back to The World Is Not Enough. This time for the Game Boy Color. I am quite curious about that game. By the time we get to it, I will have essentially forgotten about the plot of the film, but that's fine. I'm sure the game will do a wonderful job of recounting the entire storyline. But that's an exciting and interesting kind of what do we call it? Paradigm shift to come. Game Boy Color, obviously, this is the only GBC game on the list, so it's not exactly representative of a group of games. But after this game, the next one will be Agent Under Fire. So after that, we have a bunch of PS2, Xbox games, some PC, well, one PC game at least, and then we have some GBA and some DS and some phone games. But we had a chunk of games here on the PS1 and N64, and I guess intermingled with them were the Game Boy game and this Game Boy Color game. So I feel like if we complete The World's Not Enough for Game Boy Color, and that's going to wrap up this year of James Bond, it actually ends up being kind of a natural sort of split point for like starting a new leg, a new phase of James Bond next year. But we're not done with the spreadsheet here, of course. We also need to calculate the Bond quotient of 007 Racing. This is my highly scientific method of calculating which James Bond game is the most James Bond. It's not a matter of which is the best game, which game is the most Bond. The way this works is we have a... Oh yeah, I was gonna... the way this works is we have a list of criteria, and if any of these elements is present in the game will receive a point. If it's sort of present under some, you know, with some caveats or some asterisks, or you know, it may get a half of a point. And currently, the way this works out is there will be a sum total at the end, and currently, because I haven't been bothering updating it, it'll say here total Bond quotient. But this is not entirely true. This is like the raw data. Some of these values will have to be weighted And basically, we will determine the final scores, the final bond quotient, when we're done with this entire project. Because I have determined that in order, like, we cannot realistically weigh all of these elements equally, because truthfully, they are not equally important. And the way to determine how important these are for the game to faithfully replicate Bond, I need to chart the presence of these elements in the films. So basically, if an element is present in every film, it would get like 100% weight. But if it's only present in a quarter of all the films, it would get like a 25% weight, or whatever like the actual figures would be. So I've started charting these values for the films that we have been watching recently, but only for like 2 or 3. So we have more movies to watch as we get to some other games, of course, but I'm gonna have to go back and check. And we might do some more Bond film rewatch. You know, by the time James Bond is about to wrap up, maybe that's when I'm gonna try to apply that science. If I don't do it before then, whatever I have left to catch up anyway, we might very well do a little Bond film marathon out of it. Because we're gonna need to watch films that we haven't watched because there haven't been games attached to them either. So, but that's ways off because we still have like 30 Bond games to play. Anyway, that was just to explain the whole thing, like what's even going on here, what are we doing? So, even though we currently can see a tally and see how these different games compare on current sort of Bond quotient, this is not necessarily representative of where these will rank in the end. So we will have a proper full ranking of all of this to determine the final values at the end of this. I'm really looking forward to that, but we got a lot of science to do until we get to that point. So let's determine what elements are present in 007 Racing, and I'll explain what each of them means as we get to them. The gunplay, I will say that this is 0 on account of, yes, he is firing guns from his car, but that is covered later in a different category. This is more about firing handguns and rifles and that kind of thing, like shootouts, and that's not really a thing in the game. Oh yeah, I need to actually be on this window to edit this, I forgot. Fisticuffs, not present in the game. In fact, Bond standing outside of a car is not present. As I'm saying this, I'm trying to think, like, wait. Are there implied fisticuffs in the text-based stage briefings? I don't think so. I don't remember that being a thing, at least. I could potentially be convinced otherwise, but until I see evidence, I'm gonna say that there are no fisticuffs, implied or explicit. Gadgets. So, car gadgets is a separate category. Is there anything that is used or that could be construed as being a gadget that is separate from a car-equipped gadget? I can't think of any. So I'm gonna set that as a 0. Pretty sure. Well, Bond is described as using his belt buckle to radio, like to remote control his car. He uses IR. You know what? There are gadgets. Because in that underwater base level, you see a picture of a pair of glasses, like a goggles. Like he uses infrared goggles. And that's not his car is not equipped with goggles. He's putting them on inside the car. So between that and the belt buckle car remote, I think that counts. Even if the remote control does control a car, it is not strictly like he uses the gadget when he is not driving the car, even though he uses the gadget to drive a car. I think it would count. But I think the IR goggles, they pretty much, it makes it clear cut, because that's 100% not like part of the car in any sense. Driving, comma, car. Yes. If I could, I've said this before about certain other things. Like, if I could give something more than 1 point, if I could give 2 points for something, this game would get a 2 for driving car, because that's really all you do in the entire game. Driving other. Does forklift count? Does forklift count as not a car? I mean, I feel like it kind of should. Because if you think of, like, if there was a movie and there was a sequence where Bond drives a forklift, it would be, like, similar to him driving, like, a scissor lift or, you know, construction vehicle of some kind. It's a cheat code, but it is in the game. I feel like I'm also... like, including it as a cheat, I think, is in the spirit of having, like, Bond show his vehicular proficiency in unexpected ways. I could be talked into giving it a 0.5 for it, but I reckon this game will already kind of... the game is sort of at a handicap with the as far as this scoring system goes, I feel like. I mean, he's also shown, so I'm thinking here, I'm looking at the graph here. You can't see it here, but James Bond 007 did get a point for driving other, because you are driving the submersible Lotus, basically, right? And even though there aren't any underwater swimming driving stages in the game, he does drive it. I mean, even in the ending, right? Yeah, that counts. That counts. 2-player mode could have other vehicles. I mean, I would strongly doubt that it has, like, boats and airplanes or whatever, but I reckon it's probably just a selection of the cars. I don't think we could boot it up even without... well, technically I could do a fake second controller, but I'm not going to bother. Either way, I think this gets a point. Between the forklift, the Lotus going underwater, and them, like, drifting off into the ocean at the end of the game, I think that counts. I think that counts. Car gadgets, absolutely. This game is all car driving and car gadgets. Charm / smarm. So there's a little bit of Bond dialogue. He's being a little... He's being a little sarcastic to Q and R at a few points. You know, there's a bit of dialogue in the FMV where he's talking to the ladies. There's not much of it, but there's not much of Bond. Like, there's not much of it, but that's mostly down to Bond not having much dialogue in the first place. I don't think that the actual dialogue that Bond has is misrepresentative of Bond of the films, or that it's missing this element in the dialogue. I think M is, like, not as snippy as she would usually be, but Q and R are fucking in absolute overdrive, being whiny, which doesn't, like, it isn't necessarily covered by this point, but in terms of, like, characterization and having the characters express their personality, like, they're clearly writing most of the dialogue and most of the characters in an attempt to reflect the that, you know, the feel of the movies. And I think as far as Bond's dialogue goes, it captures that, so I think that counts. Maybe this element will need to be kind of redefined or renamed, but for now, I'm going to give this a point. I think it would be unfair to not award a point. Drinking. In the end, we saw the champagne bottle. That counts for sure. Junkley's implying that the car is more important than James's life. Yeah, I mean, there's several other 00 agents. There's only one car, apparently. Stunts. Whoops. I just accidentally... well, whatever. Yeah. They're not really paid too close attention to for the most part. But I mean, you drive off the cliff at the very end, you jump through the helicopter at the end of the first stage. Like, thinking about it, there's surprisingly few elements like that. But you have the weird, like, parachuting into a pit at the end of a level. Like, you would think that there would be more big jumps and stuff, like staged kind of stunts. And there aren't that many of them, but there are some. Gambling? Not really an element. Jump across the river through a boathouse. Yeah, that level, like, there's a few jumps like that where, like, I did it 5 times before I even noticed that there was an actual jump. Like, they don't cut to different angles to show it off. Like, they don't do that kind of stuff, is kind of what I mean. As much as they maybe should, or at least could. But that certainly counts. I mean, we popped a sick wheelie. Had weird shit like that happen. No gambling of any kind, really. Globetrotting, it's pretty tame by Bond standards. But we have a world map, we get a briefing, it is explained that we're in different parts of the world. We're in Mexico, we're in Louisiana, New York. It absolutely counts. We're in Eastern Europe, hopping the border to someplace else. That's globetrotting. Okay, so M briefing. I just realized, sorry, we're like going totally off screen here. I have to do this in like 2 separate windows. It's a little confusing. M briefings. I mean, there's the opening FMV where we get a full-on voiced briefing by M, complete with motion graphics and everything. Occasionally, M chimes in to brief us before missions. I'm thinking of the text, like the actual mission briefing screen. I don't recall specifically if Q/Q branch gave us any briefing for those text screens. It probably happens once or twice, but there are several missions where when you start the mission, you get voiceover, and sometimes, not frequently, sometimes it's M, at least for 1 or 2 missions, but fairly frequently it's actually Q or R giving the briefing. So we do absolutely get briefed, whether it's on equipment or just the mission. Getting briefed by Q or his representatives does happen. Q branch, however, is not really represented in the game in any real way, unfortunately. There's not even like a fancy parking garage where we see the cars or anything like that. Moneypenny is mentioned once, but that's all. I don't think that can count. There's no advice for Moneypenny. There's no flirting. There's no anything, really. So here's an interesting one. Bond, James Bond. This is something I want to give points for if this line of dialogue shows up in the game. And by a technicality, it does. Because in the opening sizzle reel FMV, there's that cut that I mentioned where you see John Cleese in like Q department saying like, oh, who might you be, or whatever, and then it cuts to Bond introducing himself at that like party event in Tomorrow Never Dies, saying Bond, James Bond. So it is in the game, but not in anything that was like written by the writers of the game. I feel like I want to give this a 0.5 because they included a shot of Pierce Brosnan saying that line, but it's not in the game itself. Like, they made sure to include it, and I think that's worth acknowledging, but I think it's also worth taking away half a point for them not, for everything else they contrived into the writing. Like, they should have found a way to squeeze that in. And I'm just now thinking, like, could there have been, like, it's in some of the mission briefings there is dialogue, but there aren't really dialogue scenes where you have characters talking back and forth. Like, well, actually, I guess the more accurate way of saying it is there's monologue. You have like Charisse Light talking after the kidnapping thing, or the main villain giving a monologue, but there's not really like Bond introducing himself to a character who is then reacting and the scene plays out. So I think we're gonna land at 0.5 for that one. They made the token minimal effort to make sure that in their sizzle reel of random like Bond film clips, they put those 2 seconds in there of him saying that, but they didn't contrive a way to have him say that in the context of the game and the story of like in the events of the actual game. The Bond theme absolutely shows up in the game. It is credited in the end credits and everything. There's no theme song, certainly not a Bond film worthy attempt or anything like that, so I think that's a 0. There is, however, a gun barrel sequence, which, as you can see here, it's like surprisingly sparse. Even in some of these later games, they don't like. I was really shocked that The World's Not Enough on N64 didn't have it. They just didn't even try. Opening credits, as we even mentioned, like the end of that first mission with the FMV would have been the perfect place to put opening credits, but nope. In fact, there aren't even end credits. There are just merely manual credits that you have to trigger from the options menu. Next one, though, product placement. So this was added later on here. That's the thing. As far as like the scientific categories and elements that we're checking in on here, as we see certain things becoming more prevalent, we may add them to the list if we realize that this is something we should be charting. And product placement kind of came in late as like, all right, this seems like it's going to be a thing. But I'm pretty sure it's a 0 for most of the games prior, but because we didn't have it in here when I first did that, like we only added it late, so I'm not positive. There could be something here and there, so I'd have to go over the games, and there's going to be some of that before we're done with all this. But this game very prominently features BMW, Aston Martin, and Lotus, so that certainly counts. Bond in Peril, indeed. It's not necessarily reflected in the gameplay, but there's a big scene in the text adventure that happens in between the levels of Bond being kidnapped and having to escape by means of remote control belt buckle and all that, so I think that definitely counts. Bond likeness, yeah, and this is an iffy category. I don't know if we're going to keep this because obviously we can't really compare this to the films, so I'm very unsure of how I would weight this category. I also feel like even games like the Game Boy game, which was like amazing and it's like super James Bond-esque in so many ways, like I don't feel like not having the likeness of a specific actor really holds it back from feeling like Bond. So I think for now, I'm happy to track this for the purposes of data and see if we can, find patterns or trends or what have you. But I don't think it's going to necessarily have an impact on the final score of the Bond quotient for each game. Just a little disclaimer there. But we do have the weird CG Pierce Brosnan in the FMVs. I reckon Bond's face texture in the model in the game is probably a photo of Pierce Brosnan, and he shows up in the FMV. Like, clearly they had the likeness rights to put him in the game. So that's what counts, basically. Sexy Ladies and Sexy Ladies Evil. That's a big fat check on both of those. Bond's dick powers. That's his uncanny ability to use his what do we call it? Sexual prowess to win over women in a borderline unnatural fashion. I mean, there's a little bit of romance going on, but there's not really plot elements that sort of go into those sort of relationships. I think it's like very mild. There's there's like a little bit of implied, I mean, that like the ending, for example, although I guess that's maybe on par with some of the films, like Bond and what's her name, Melody Chase, like they were first introduced to each other during the remote control mission. They got in the car together to escape. She was immediately captured again. He immediately went to rescue her. When he picks her up in the underwater base, she's like, "Oh, James, you're wonderful." And basically they leave that base, right? And they explode the plane and drive off a cliff. And then they're on this romantic ocean submarine date. So they really did not like spend much time together, and she didn't really need much convincing, is what I'm trying to say. So I think that's pretty much Dick Powers at work. I think that's gonna have to be a 1 on that. Henchmen. There were certainly henchmen. We had Whisper, we had Jaws. Hard to talk about, like I mean, even what's her name? Therese, sort of. Like, you don't really fight her. Well, you kind of do, I guess. You shoot rockets at her boat, but she's like still around after that. I don't know. I mean, I guess that counts at least. It's a 1. Iconic villain is maybe a stretch. I mean, I've struggled a bit with the definitions of these, and they can mean different things in different contexts, but Jaws is in the game, so we have like some representation of actual classic Bond villains. But I also wanted to like make sure to promote games that come up with original villainous characters. Like it shouldn't have to be like they took something specific from a movie. If they come up with their own original characters, that's like should count at least as much. And here we do have what's his name? Hammond Light, was that his name? Who's like giving evil monologues and shit. So I mean, we've seen films that have had less typical Bond villains. I mean, hey, we were talking about his like diabolical scheme. All right, that you know, screen time aside, his actual evil plot with the virus and the cars and everything, I think that's a full-on Bond villain plot. So I think that's I think it's just the name of this category that I think needs some tweaking. Big villain, I don't know, but I think it counts. There's just certainly a proper villain, whether he was like fleshed out or not, I don't know. The villain's lair, there sure was a lair, and we blew it up. You know what, I'm intrigued now. We've gone through the list, and I didn't think we would award this game this many points. I was just feeling like you're just driving a car, you're just doing this, how much stuff could they really include here? But I'm seeing a lot more 1s than 0s in this spreadsheet here. Boss villain, yeah, maybe. Like, it's hard to figure out exactly how to phrase it to sort of capture all the nuance. I feel like with some, you phrase it some way, and then you come to an example where you absolutely want to reward a point for it, but if you look at it literally what the category says, it doesn't really match. So it's a little tricky. And it's maybe, you know, eventually something that you might want to split up. But again, like if we had a category for like brings back a villain from a Bond film, that's not a category that you can like compare to movies, because like any villain in a Bond film is a villain from a Bond film. Like it like makes no sense. It's just like Bond likeness in that at that point. But the thing is, of course, that certain Bond games don't really have a villain at the end. Of any real tangible sort, at least. So it's not as redundant as it sounds to just like say like, is there a main villain? Like, is there a big bad? So maybe it should be called something like that. Yeah, is there a final boss? And I don't even mean that in a game mechanic sense, but like the equivalent of a final boss in a film. All All right, so that's all the fields filled in. So currently in the lead is, it appears, Tomorrow Never Dies for the PlayStation. Quite impressively. The World's Not Enough, not far behind with 21.5. No, sorry. World's Not Enough on N64 ekes it out with 22. Game Boy... no, sorry. GoldenEye is at 20. And Game Boy James Bond 007 is 19.5. And there's a pretty big jump down then to James Bond Jr. somehow getting 14.5. Alright, now View to a Kill, the text adventure, has 16. I need to like sort this better. Spy Who Loved Me, also 16. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how this... And of course, like, some of the earlier games are sort of handicapped by just being smaller in scope and less advanced and not really necessarily able to depict some of these things that well. But at the same time, you have, like, a View to a Kill, the computer game, having a gun barrel sequence, and then, like, no other game doing that for, like, you know, 10 years. 12 years, even. And you have, like, the theme song being in that game too. Like, some of these things like were in early games, so it's not as if more of these early games could not have included them. Even if that's the case, it still like charts sort of how technology helped achieve the ability to accurately replicate the Bond experience in video game form. I think that's fun and worth investigating and documenting regardless. All right. So let's see what the final score is. 21.5. Wow. Okay, I was not expecting that. So this like it lands in top 3 territory. I mean, having played the game, it makes sense. Like, it is absolutely, you know, it's not a generic driving game that happens to have a Bond license. It's not like that fucking Fast and the Furious Forza game that's like Forza, but they got Ludacris in a recording booth to do 10 minutes of voiceover. Like, this game is absolutely doing its damnedest to feel like Bond through and through. But it's impressive to, like, it's interesting how it's missing some of these things that, like, every other game has in some fashion. There's, like, no gunplay, no fisticuffs. I mean, I guess we did get the gadget point, but... and I don't think I was, like, being overly generous. There were a few things maybe where I was like, yeah, okay, we can count this. But like James Bond getting a half point, that seems about right. Bond in Peril, Dick Parts. But no, I think any one of these points that were put on here, I think they're entirely justifiable. Good job, 007 Racing. I mean, thinking about it again, just in a broad sense, if someone were to make the claim that 007 Racing is one of the most James Bond of all James Bond games, you wouldn't really scoff at that assertion, would you? You shouldn't. And now we have the data to prove it. All right, it's going to be very interesting to see how the Game Boy Color World's Not Enough measures up, not just to the other World's Not Enough games. It'll be interesting to see how it measures up to the original Game Boy 007 game, which I don't think they have much in common, but even so. It'll be interesting to see how it measures up to everything else as far as Bond quotient goes. But that has been tonight's stream. I was not expecting to finish this game, but I feel very glad that we did. That was a lot of fun. Leaves me excited to check out The World Is Not Enough. But I reckon before we do that, we shall probably check back in on King of Producer before we forget how that game functions and see if we can maybe inch our way closer to developing and publishing our first million-selling video game. So probably we are doing that on Wednesday. Trying to think. So the Game Awards is this week, by the way, but I believe it's on Thursday, like 3 a.m. night to Friday my time or something. So we're definitely not streaming that. But I was wondering for a second there if maybe we should bring back the bingo boards and try to come up with one on stream, maybe on Wednesday stream, and we'll check back in on it on Saturday maybe. Because yeah, Saturday might be a good like news catch-up stream if there's fun stuff at the Game Awards. The Quan Chi trailer for MK1 dropped yesterday. There might be some other stuff. That might not be the worst idea. I'll think about it. In any case, that is it for me today. Thank you very, very much for hanging out. It's been swell, and I am excited for more Bond gaming in the not too distant future. I think we're gonna be we're gonna try at least to get through the Game Boy Color game before the end of the year, so we can have a nice, fresh, clean slate with next generation Bond action in 2024. We are going to raid Hazemaker64, who's playing what appears to be a new Commodore 64 game, as he is wont to do. Something called Briley Witch Chronicles. It looks pretty neat. I don't know much about it, but I'm sure it's interesting, and I'm sure we can learn a lot of interesting facts about these games from Lord Hazemaker. Please do stick around for the raid, and please do tune back in on Wednesday for whatever we're gonna do then, I guess. Have a good night, everybody. Thank you very much for hanging out. I'll see you guys around. Peace.